actually get hairs implanted from other areas of your body into your face.
Has anyone here done that?
No, I've heard of it.
Refuse.
I don't think it. Yeah, I would just at that point I would just let it go. Just
let it go.
Sprout seems to know a little bit too much about this.
I think I'll just bald at that. Go bald or patchy at that point. I think.
No, so like I looked into it because I didn't know how you just like give somebody a beard surgically. Evidently, they take hair from other parts of your body and just implant it into your face, and that's how you make a beard surgically.
I watched Adam 22 talking about it, and I was like, "This is not for me. If this is something
This is not for me."
Wait, what are we talking about?
Low T men getting hair implanted in other parts of their body.
Yeah, fair enough.
And that's why people are fucking Adam 22's wife. See, direct correlation to the low T.
Hey, get out of there! No, stop.
That's what he's telling him.
Yeah, I'd rather go bald.
Here.
Yeah, see, I'm saying, let's go
I
bald.
went bald.
Come on, go.
It's not even I'd rather. I just did.
I'm getting used to being a cat.
Well, the thing that caught my eye was the ad wasn't even for hair on top of your head. It was literally just beard. I'm like, the fuck? But
once you master the voice, cats listen better than dogs do. You gotta get him with a certain tone of voice.
All right, well,
like pitch.
Yeah, we rescued this one. What was it, about 2 weeks ago? And yeah, she we just saw her. We were out for a midnight walk, and she just came right up to us and started meowing. Needed somebody to take care of her, so we did. Come here, let me show you this adorable little shit.
Yeah, get the cat. That's what we want to see,
buddy. Yeah, this is our little fur daughter, I guess. So, I'm generally allergic to cats, but like her cat and this one have been either really easy on me, or I'm just not as allergic as I used to be.
I think it's weird how they have I think it's funny how they have all their own personalities, and even like you said with the allergies, even with that, my cats have a ton of hair. So if you're allergic to cats, immediately. But I had adopted a cat for a little while, and this cat was it would never shed, and anybody could hold it, and they wouldn't get sick. I think it's kind of weird how they're some are hypoallergenic. They make them,
right?
They bred them.
It's some cats are awesome. My general issue with pets anymore is just they don't get any smarter. They're like 1-year-olds or 2-year-olds that exist forever, or for 15 years, and then they finally die. It's you don't need, get smarter, motherfucker.
I don't know about that.
I've told you stop taking a piss there fucking forever.
I have one cat that just I feel like is fucking always learning. It wouldn't surprise me if they started talking to me soon. Then I have another cat that's full-fledged Riri. Just over here falling off like walls. I'm like, what are you doing, bro? It's terrible.
Yeah.
What's up, Ancom? And we're waiting on Hammer and Teriak. Yeah, there he is.
Fuck Hammer.
What?
You heard me.
All right then. Whoa. That's how this party starts. What's good, Teriak?
Yo. Besides, we're up one person anyway. I think I fucked it up. I think you forgot to add me back, and so I had to be your 9. Oh, Vigilante's not
it's
here.
8. No, Vigilante couldn't make it.
That's
why I invited Lactoid.
Is that Neo?
Holy shit.
Who, me?
Yeah.
Nah, I'm too white to be Neo.
Bro,
I'm one of the vampires from fucking Twilight.
You look like you go to sit at a cafe and open up your laptop and you say,
"You sparkle in sunlight." Holy shit!
Well, yeah, exactly.
I was gonna say you could be one of the weird white skinned vampires from the Matrix.
That's what I was thinking at first. The albinos in the Matrix.
So how are we all today?
I think it's just Ireland.
I'm all right. I'm just trying to stay.
Do I sound all right? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
No. Good.
You sound awful.
Crank that gain up.
You're all right, buddy.
Crank that gain up. Don't you do this to me, Gibbs.
Oh my god, I have Loyal Logic in my chat? I don't think I've heard of that guy in 3 years. Maybe 4.
I thought I was going to recognize the person he was bragging about.
Yeah,
I was
that's what I was saying.
sincerely
Wow, you
disappointed,
remember
but I
Loyal
figured I
Logic, don't
didn't.
you?
What?
You remember
No.
Loyal Logic, don't you?
No.
Oh fuck, he's even older than that. All right, fair enough. Fair enough. Like that guy was Gen 1 Twitch Twitch Bowl and got out when like Gen 2 started.
Yeah, I think I was Gen 2. Because I jumped in.
what is
Because
Gen 1?
I jumped into Jace's shit.
Gen 1
Like Dylan Burns would be Gen 1.
Yeah,
Easy.
it had Dylan Burns and then Mind Waves, Johnny Scarlet. I mean, there's a few others there that I don't remember, but like that
Mr.
were
Geek.
people that were doing shit back in like 2019 before COVID.
Gen 2 was
What would
have
like
been
Clint,
Gen 2 would have been like anyone that joined in
and all them
2020,
be?
and then Gen 3.
I don't even regard that as Twitch Bowl. That's just retardation from Reddit that actually went to Twitch Bowl.
Oh, the 2020.
2020 was wild, but that would have been like if you came in 2020, you were second gen for Twitch.
Yeah, I'm saying you're Gen 2 if you came in during 2020 or 2019.
I'm like the fifth wave at this point, so it works out for me. I'm going to go ahead and get this popping since Hammer is especially late, and we got some topics to cover. So, welcome one and all to the Minds of the Ecclesia panel. I'm your host, LetheWaterKai, and with me I have 7 at the moment, amazing guests. And I'm going to go ahead and let everybody get an introduction, starting with Admiral Gibbs.
Howdy, I'm Admiral Gibbs. I'm here to tell you that Texas is the best, and that I'm the best, and that's really all you need to know.
Right on. And another Texan right here, Rich.
Oh, well, luckily we still have power up here, this part of Texas. So, like, we're doing okay. Yeah, debate coach out of, I guess, North Texas area. Yeah, glad to be here.
Glad to have you. And the man that needs no introduction, Lactoid, with his fresh haircut.
What's up, friends? Yeah, I'm Lactoid. You can find me at Lactoid TV on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. I'm looking forward to dominating some people on topics as usual. I actually did the reading this time, so it'll be fun.
Uh-oh. Lactoid Red, I'm terrified. And with us today, Ancom Psycom. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. I am not terrified because although I'm sure Lactoid knows how to read, the question is, can he comprehend? I kid, of course. Yeah, Incom Psycom. You can find me on Twitter, Mastodon. What's the other one? Blue Sky. That's the other one. Yeah, all the weird Twitter and Twitter platforms out there. Income Psycom.
Awesome. And the man with the curls, Tiberius D.
Yeah, I am definitely a curly bastard tonight. Greetings, everyone. It's good to be back here once again to the LetheWaterKai. I appreciate that rolling invite weekly on a basis. I do apologize. I'm a little tired. I've been moving, freshly broadcasting now out of Evansville, Indiana, the son of farmers and an electrician's apprentice here. Anyway, thanks for having me. I will try to find enough caffeine to keep myself going for tonight, but we do have some fun topics. So good to see you, Lethe. Good to see you. So many people that we've seen so many times, good friends of mine. And then we got a new guy, so I can't wait to hear about him.
And with us for the first time, Teriak, the man who is making my eyes hurt right now.
Yep. Like I said, I sparkle, boys. I sparkle. Name's Teriak from Ireland. So this should be good crack. Like I said, kind of new on the scene, even with the whole streaming game. But basically, I'm an aspiring professional memester. That's probably the best way to describe me.
Awesome. Glad to have you. And with us, the Sprouticus, who is rivaling Tiberius for curls.
Yeah, I am the Sprouticus. Find me at twitch.tv/thesprouticus, twitter.com/thesprouticus. Lactoid, you're fucking hilarious if you think you're just gonna trample people today like you always, like quote unquote, always do. But I guess good push there, but it left a little short.
Like my hair, unlike yours.
Your hair's a little short. I would agree.
Voice and video.
All right. So, starting with, does the rise in infant mortality rate due to the ban suggest it was a bad idea? Why or Why not? Infant deaths after Texas 2021 ban on abortion in early pregnancy. How did Texas ban on early abortions in 2021 impact infant mortality rate in 2022? Findings: this cohort study of 94,720 recorded infant deaths in Texas and 28 comparison states found that the Texas abortion ban was associated with unexpected increases in infant and neonatal mortality in 2022. These findings suggest that abortion restrictions may have negative spillover effects on infant health. Importance: prior observational research has shown that infants born in states with more abortion restrictions are more likely to die during infancy. It is unclear how recent and more severe abortion bans in the U.S. have impacted the infant mortality. So, with this in mind, how do we feel about this? Starting with Gibbs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with the ban, because I stand on the side of life. I want people to have a chance at life. I'm adopted. I'm glad that someone didn't choose to abort me. Because that could have been me. Right? I guess it could have been anybody, but it's especially prevalent when you're adopted. You're happy for your chance at life, and I've been a successful individual, and it's great. Secondly, I've been accused many times on many panels and many places of not being empathetic. Well, I looked up the word the words here in this thing at the end, and one of the things they talked about is congenital anomaly. I'm sure I said that wrong. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not trying to be. I'm a religious doctor. That's all you need to know about that. But I looked this up, and one of the things listed is Down syndrome. Can you imagine that anybody that has any empathy sitting here advocating for the genocide of people with Down syndrome? That is abhorrent, and it is sickening that people don't want to give these people with these anomalies a chance, at least a chance at life. Is it sad when an infant dies? Absolutely. But at least here in Texas, we believe in giving these children a shot at life, and then I guess the weak call themselves. And that's really all you need to know about that.
Thank you, Gibbs. Let's go with Rich.
Yeah, I hope the word that you were looking at was congenital anomaly rather than
the word.
because a congenial anomaly, like being like more friendly than is healthy, would be
You know which word I meant.
that would be a very very interesting. I don't think too many people on Twitch have that anomaly in any way. But yeah, I'm not surprised at the rise in the infant mortality rate here. But what I would like to find out more of is the impact that it has on the mothers, because of course if a child who was going to get aborted ends up dying on the way out, that's the same number of deaths, like on net, right? Like they weren't going to survive the abortion. So the real question is how much unnecessary pain and suffering happened to the mothers who were like involved in the situation. And I didn't see data on that in this study. But at the same time, this only goes through 2022. Dobbs' decision hadn't happened yet. We're going to start to see data like this occur in dozens of states, potentially, because there have been more and more restrictions all over the place beyond 2022, including in Texas, where this effect should become more pronounced. So I'd like to see like where that data goes going forward.
Thank you, Rich. Lactoid.
Yeah, so I guess a couple things. I think it's important. I'm going to be speaking a lot on the data here. We got to be careful with the correlation versus causation problem. When you say, well, infants born in states with more abortion laws have higher mortality rates, that doesn't necessarily mean that abortion laws affect infant mortality rates. There's plenty of other things that affect infant mortality rates that is present in red states that is less present in blue states, and red states are more likely to have abortion legislation, especially in the Southeast, right? And the Southeast generally has a higher proportion of poor people and a higher proportion of Black people, two communities that have higher infant mortality rates. So you can't just draw a conclusion from abortion. And you could also argue that perhaps blue states have a higher access to contraception, which could potentially lower infant mortality rates as well without affecting abortion or really relating to abortion law. So there's a lot of confounding variables here that we have to be aware of. All that being said, I think it would make sense that if you were to criminalize abortion, that there would be some increase in infant mortality, which is apparently what we're seeing in Texas. Just because, again, the communities that would be more likely to get abortions, in this case, Black people and poor people, are having less access to abortion, and these communities have higher infant mortality rate in America, generally speaking. So you would expect to see a higher infant mortality rate as well. The moral question here is there really a difference between an infant dying and an abortion? Well, to a pro-lifer, they would say that restricting abortion actually reduced infant mortality rates because a fetus is an infant. So you are reducing the overall amount of children killed. That's going to be the argument. We know that abortion laws do lower abortion rates. A lot of people have been claiming the contrary. They're wrong. We obviously see that in Texas too, because overall fertility has gone up. So arguably, fewer infants are dying in Texas if you're pro-life. And then I agree with Aiko that it'd be interesting to see what the overall impact on the mothers is.
Thank you, Lactoid. Ancom.
So the reason I have issues with the analysis, especially as given by Lactoid, is that the study authors here actually did quite a lot to attempt to account for those confounding variables, even going so far as to create a statistical model of Texas had it not implemented SB 8, and to compare the number of infant, neonatal and infant mortalities with that statistical model, as well as comparing it to similar states across the country. They compared it to 19 other states with similar levels of abortion access and infant and fertility rates, and found that Texas had a statistically significantly higher rate of infant and neonatal mortality. So because of that, it seems fairly clear that the law here does seem to have negatively impacted that statistic. Now, with what Rich said about the impact to the mothers, correct, while this study did not directly address the impact to the mothers, one thing that it did point out is the fact that in the case of children with congenital abnormalities, those who would already be likely to die shortly after birth, in order to abort them beforehand, you end up saving not only emotional harm, but also financial and logistical harm, because it takes a lot more of a financial burden to go through an entire pregnancy and then to actually have a child with these congenital abnormalities, because now you have massive medical bills that are being forced upon a family, which could have been prevented, and thus a lot of harm that could have been prevented had they been given the option to get an abortion early on.
Awesome. Tiberius.
Yeah, I'm going to try not to repeat anything that somebody else has said, but I'm definitely going to give it to Lactoid that he's definitely said most of what I was going to say, but even in a smarter, more elegant way. So hands off to him. I think there's some good evidence that could go either way on this one. There's the conversation of, oh, hey, infant mortality's up because we're not aborting kids who need to be aborted. I'm not going to say that the laws aren't like super stringent. On the other side, Lactoid put it very, very well. There's a lot of reasons to believe that this actually should go down. And I'm not really convinced on which side or another. There's, at least for me, not enough information. And this is also not my wheelhouse. So I don't study this with a laser focus. What I do think is really more interesting here is I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. What I do find very interesting is actually the explanation of this and the exploration of this, because if infant mortality is going up, but the fertility rate's going up, is that just a sign that we have ill health in babies, or are they not getting the care that they need? I think that's a real conversation that needs to be a follow-up. Sprout. Okay.
All right. It was Teriak next.
Okay, I thought you
fucked up the order.
No, you can go.
No, you're good. Terry, go. Terry, go.
So I'm pretty sure I'm the only one who disagrees with the premise of the study, and that's to say that a ban or lower abortion window means a higher infant or mortality rate. The reason why I'm saying this is it's a base rate fallacy or percentage trick. It's basically representing something as a percentage, so it seems more extreme than it actually is. We can look at the case of South Carolina. In 2021, February 18th, Carolina enacted the same abortion limit that Texas enacted. Now, in 2020, the infant mortality rate was 6.64, and in 2021, it increased by 12%, which is an extra 4% than it did in Texas, and it got 7.26. Now, that looks like it proves your case, boys. But unfortunately, for you at least, in 2022, it went back down to 6.75, which makes no sense if you're to say that these abortion limits are what causes more infant mortality rate. Furthermore, when we look at the highest infant mortality rate in the country, that's Mississippi at 9.1. That means that Texas could increase its infant mortality rate by 50% and it still would not achieve the infant mortality rate of Mississippi. Also, as a European, to add a bit of spice to the conversation as well, there are 2 European countries where abortion is outright banned. That is Malta and Andorra. The USA average infant mortality rate in 2022 was 5.17. With Malta, it was 4.53, which means the USA was 14% higher than Malta. And in Andorra, it was only 3.4, which means the USA is over 50% more of an infant mortality rate. So I disagree with the whole premise of the study.
Right.
Holy shit, it is Neo.
Sprout.
So I find there's a couple things interesting about this study. I find it interesting they only chose Texas to focus on. It didn't, at least from what I can see, because I can't actually get the actual. If anyone has the actual PDF, I'd really appreciate that.
I dropped it in the group chat. Everyone has access to that, along with the accompanying commentary article that was included in the same edition of that journal.
Well, that would have been awesome to read before my intro. Let's see. I tried to read as much as I could. There wasn't an actual PDF version. Anyways, I think it's interesting that they didn't have any good comparisons to other states. So when they could have taken a look at other states and decided that it didn't flow well with the story, so left it out. It seems very convenient that there wasn't a whole lot of evidence that was pointing against their hypothesis, or it wasn't a whole lot of things that they created with it they have to overcome in order to prove the hypothesis. So ultimately, when it comes down to it, I think that this study was designed to get a specific answer, and it got the answer it wanted. And now we're here. I'm not typically one that agrees with abortion bans. I think that we need to take care of our moms, and then when we have viable solutions outside of the mother to take care of a fetus, then at that point it does become life as soon as it's viable to live outside the mother with or without medical technology. But outside of that, I'm pretty much against abortion bans. But this study seems like it was built in order to achieve this outcome, and it achieved the outcome they desired.
Thank you. And who wants to open this up? Go ahead, Rich.
Yeah. So just real quick, because I have heard this from a couple people in their openings, I wouldn't compare Texas to other states just because Texas's abortion bounty law was unique to Texas. So certainly post Dobbs, there are going to be many states that we can look at. But since this study only goes into 2022, you're not going to have a whole bunch of states that you can look at and say they have the same policy as Texas, and so their results should be the same as Texas, and they're not. Nobody had that policy to the abortion bounty law here in Texas. If you haven't heard about it before, it was big in the news before Dobbs, and it kind of went away because it became irrelevant with Dobbs. But ultimately, it was a way of getting around the abortion laws by making it so that if you suspect somebody of having an abortion, you can sue them, or you can sue anyone who helped them. Right? I remember at the time some people even speculated that an Uber driver could get sued for taking somebody to the abortion clinic. Like, I don't know if that's true or not, but it certainly had a chilling effect on people's willingness to go help somebody get an abortion, or even to get an abortion themselves. I don't
know, because there's no evidence to prove anything in regards to the states. Did other surrounding states go up at the same rate? There's not enough information here to
What do you mean go up?
Premise.
Hold on. What do you mean by go up?
So did infant mortality rates go up in another state.
So in the JAMA
It's
information,
geographically close to Texas.
So overall,
And that had the same law.
I'm not
same
talking. I'm not
bounty
even
law.
talking about the law because the
let
study's
me answer
trying
the
to
question.
the study's
Mhm.
the
Okay.
study's
Lactoid.
trying to
Let me just answer the question, right? So the rest of the U.S. experienced a 1.8% increase in infant mortality. The JAMA study, what it appears to do, it appears to compare Texas to what the creators of the study are indicating as comparison states, 28 comparison states, and they're saying that okay, factoring in all these other differences, we expect that this law, or really the ban on abortion in Texas, had a effect of it increased infant deaths around 12.7% above expectation. But I think when we look at the pure percentiles, I think the point made before, when you hide in the percentiles, it can be a little bit misleading, which I think is fair, because that 12.7% increase is only 216 infant deaths, right? And yeah, 216 infant deaths sounds scary, but keep in mind that in 2022, leading up to Roe versus Wade, in the first half of 2022, before Dobbs was released, there was over 17,000 abortions, right? So more than 17,000 compared to 216. All right,
Well,
the overall number is not
but-
even close.
But where's the line? You know what I mean? Like, does it naturally just go up and down as we see throughout time? They don't include any of that. It seems to all sincerely be
They do include it. I saw several tables.
Be cherry picked to try and get the results they want. This seems to be cherry picked information.
The data goes back.
This
The
is
data
why I
goes back
brought
through
up South Carolina.
2018.
Go ahead, Terry. Yeah.
This is why I brought up South Carolina. In 2021, South Carolina enacted the same restriction to 6 weeks, the same as it is in Texas now in 2022, and they seen a 12% increase. But the following year, it went back down to 6.75, whereas in 2020, compared to 2022, it was 6.64. So we see a decrease, even though no law change in terms of the abortions. And then, like I said, in terms of Mississippi as well.
Yeah, that's not the same as Texas. Texas didn't have a 6-week ban at that time.
But in Mississippi, where the infant mortality rate is 9.1, again, you could increase Texas by 50% and it still wouldn't even get that high. The abortion, you're able to get abortion up to, I think, 15 weeks. Yeah, in 15 weeks in Mississippi, but it's 9.1.
Not after. You're looking at a little bit of old data. Since Dobbs, all these states have, like, it's Texas and I'm sure Mississippi. I'll look that up right now, but for sure Texas have banned abortion.
Yeah, like I said, you can double check. My studies, it was 15 weeks.
15 weeks where?
For which
where
state?
It's illegal.
Yeah. Mississippi.
It's illegal in because there was all these trigger laws that basically once Dobbs came down and Roe was overturned.
Yeah, but he's talking about pre-Dobbs. He's talking about this is 2021 these laws.
Well, this is fair, right?
No, 2022.
Well, so
Dobbs 2022 would have been too late for the study then.
Well, it depends when in 2022 because Dobbs was dropped halfway through 2022.
Yeah.
Mississippi has constantly been, like I said, I linked the CDC data in chat. You can see it's constantly at 9 or above in terms of the infant mortality rate.
Yeah.
So again, the premise of the argument here is that if we lower or shorten the abortion limit, we basically limit abortion, we're going to see an increase in infant mortality rate, which is not the case. We've seen it with South Carolina. We've seen it with Mississippi as well. Well, Mississippi has a bigger range.
Those are those confounding variables that I was talking about, right? Like abortion law could be whatever, and Mississippi is still going to have a higher infant mortality rate than Texas because Mississippi's a poorer state, and Mississippi has the highest percentage of Black residents of any state in America, and the Black community has a high infant mortality rate. It's just it's a fact.
So it shows. So this shows. But okay, so I'm finding where they went back to 2018. Where you're talking about them going back to 2018, and this specifically shows that they didn't capture a whole down and up to try and figure this out. They went far enough back to where it looks like from 2018 to 2019, it went down from 2083 to 2075. Then it went down to 1968. Then it went up to 1985 and 2021, and then went up to 2240, which honestly is not that far away from 2018, where it was at 2083. But they don't. What they do, just decide to stop going at 2018 because 2017 was at or near the number to 2022. Like, what's the numbers in 2017? This data seems cherry picked. It all seems entirely too convenient.
100%.
It could be cherry picked, but I mean, like the findings of the study and look, JAMA, it's usually okay in terms of what kind of studies they're selecting. I think intuitively I can imagine that there probably is some kind of small link, but again, I think that the numbers here really, like, you can't get lost in the percentages when you look at the actual numbers. 216, while sad, is nothing compared to 17,000. And when I say 17,000, following the ban of abortion in Texas, specifically, abortion rates dropped 99.5%, right? So it went from 17,000 all the way to just 85 in 2022. So you see massive drops here. So if the argument is, well, we got to save children's lives by increasing access to abortion, no pro-lifer should accept this argument, right? If you believe that a fetus is alive, like even if it does increase infant mortality, it's by such a tiny percentage compared to the amount of lives you'd be saving.
That's right, and that brings me to a point I wanted to make earlier. I was looking up some of these things, like I said, when I was confusing the words earlier, and some of these things like cleft lips. We're aborting babies over cleft lips. That's something that's paid for in most states if you're under 18 by Medicaid. So you're just sitting here going, "Oh no, we don't want Walking Phoenix to exist anymore. Fuck all his Oscars and all this other bullshit." Y'all seen that movie Gladiator? Seen that movie Joker? Never would have seen that if he'd lived in Texas pre-abortion ban, because guess what? They would have whacked him. And that's what y'all are saying. It's just crazy to me that y'all are sitting here arguing for this, and then y'all simultaneously want to argue for welfare and Medicare for all and shit. It's like y'all want to have hands in both pies and eat it. It's crazy. It's crazy talk.
Well, hold on, but your hand is not in both pies, right? Because you support all that welfare.
No, I don't. Yeah, I'm
you got your hands on both pies.
That's just called being a good businessman.
I see.
If
Okay,
it's available, you take it, right?
All right. I got you.
If it's up to me, we get rid of it.
Sure.
I'm already paying for it. I might as well reap the rewards, right?
Yeah. No. I'm saying let them live and make you pay for them. That's what I'm saying.
Bastard.
There could be a difference. I mean, you don't got to get into libertarian theory, but like, just to be clear, there is like a philosophical difference between those two things, in my opinion. But
between which two things?
Between somebody dying because of lack of access to resources compared to actively going and killing them.
Amen. There's some big difference there.
When we talk about like statistics and all that kind of stuff, there is going to be a rate of change or a range of error in these stats as well. So, like I said, 8% is nothing in the grand scheme of things, because Texas could increase its infant mortality rate by 50%, and it's still not even beating Mississippi. So when we have such disparity in the data and that stuff, 8% is a drop in the ocean across, especially when we see in South Carolina where it went up by 12%, then the following year it went back down to the rate it was the year previous.
I do want to point out that in the South Carolina example, in the South Carolina example, the law had been injuncted by a state court a month after it had been signed into law, and eventually the state Supreme Court completely declared the law unconstitutional. So that law never actually went into effect in any significant way. So using South Carolina
again, that proves the case again, because you're saying that the law didn't go up, but then the percentage still increased by 12%. So
yes, but then you have no idea what the comparative.
No one does. Not even the people that did this study know what the comparative is. That's the problem.
The thing is,
your point is that the abortion law never came into place, but it still went up by 12% that year. So in terms of range of error,
so we know that the abortion law would not have had it couldn't have had an impact on infant mortality, and other things were at play. However, in the case of the study, in the case of the Texas study, they created what is called a synthetic control, where they look at all of the factors in Texas that would have led to more infant mortality, both with and without the abortion law, and still came to the conclusion that there were hundreds of excess deaths.
Synthetic is not natural.
No shit, that's what synthetic means.
Literally the lowest amount of hundreds.
It's opinion based.
Those were guesses.
So what I'm saying is
that that was based off of.
Okay,
One
calling
second.
that a
One
guess
second.
is like calling any statistical model a guess.
Okay, no, but
Technically,
no, but
yes,
what I'm,
but they're
but what I'm,
usually quite
what,
reliable.
so one second,
Let-
one
let
second.
me explain
What I'm
again,
saying,
let me
okay,
you cut him
one
off
second,
mid.
okay.
Sprout, you cut him off mid sentence.
Well, I've been trying to ask him a question the entire time, but it's fine.
Well, you can get it
again. Your whole premise is.
Oh, I don't even know what it is now. That's the problem.
Yeah. So again, your whole premise is that these abortion bans didn't come in South Carolina, but it still went up 12%. So to say that this 8% change is directly caused because of these abortion bans in Texas, even though it's only 8%, not 12%, proves the case that it has nothing got to do with these abortion laws.
That doesn't actually prove that case, and you don't understand the statistical calculations that go into this.
Infant mortality rate can go up by 10% on any given year. So to say you have a synthetic study,
which is why you compare all of the confounding variables that can lead to infant mortality, which is what the study authors did. If you would have read the study, you would understand this. Right now, you're making a complete straw man argument because you don't understand the statistical models they use to make these determinations.
We just agreed that the infant mortality rate, without any change to abortion laws, can go up by 12%. Just because it's a bad year, correct?
Correct? Yeah.
True or false?
That's why
True or false? True or false?
Irrelevant. Because you're not taking.
So if the rate of change could be up to 12%.
God fucking damn it! Stop interrupting me right the fuck now.
You gotta let him. Answer your question.
No, you gotta let me actually answer the question before you start asking another one. Okay? If you shut up. Shut up. Let me shut up.
Well, he's trying to answer how.
Again, that's what I'm saying.
Let me answer the fucking question, or you can go straight to hell. I don't give a shit. You need to understand that there are multiple confounding variables. Just because it went up by a certain percentage in some state doesn't mean you know what confounding variables caused that increase.
Yes,
in a situation like this,
with no change at all, it can increase by 12%. But then you're saying 8%.
No change at all is not a. That's the thing.
Every year is a new change.
There's
exactly.
All sorts of things change. In this study, they specifically take into account the changes that tend to happen from year to year. That's what the synthetic control is all about.
And by changing nothing, the change can be up to 12% with no change in abortion law, as you admitted.
There's no such thing as nothing changing. Everything changes. Time changes everything.
Abortion laws don't change.
Yes, but there are more things than abortion laws that could potentially affect infant mortality rates.
Yes, but when we control for abortion laws, and you just claimed that there was no change in abortion laws in South Carolina.
When we control for everything else except
abortion. What we're talking about is the abortion law.
Damn it. When we control for everything else except the abortion law, we see the increase because we've controlled for all of those other aspects.
Yes, so if all those other aspects can change by 12%, how can you prove that an abortion law can change for 8%?
Because you take all of those confounding variables into account. You do not understand how statistical analysis works.
No, because all you're saying...
Okay, you don't understand. I'm not going to arguing with you. Here. Because you literally have no idea what you're saying.
That's fair.
I want to engage.
I'm just pointing out you don't know what you're talking about, and there's no point in me arguing.
I know.
I have no issue if you want to give up.
Well, I know statistical analysis. Let me ask you, Space Anarchist. Let's say... You're muted. Can you hear me? All right.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Right. My spouse just slammed the door because I was yelling. So.
Okay. No problem. So I understand what you're saying, and I'm going to roll with the assumption that yes, the study is accurate in that it addressed all the other confounding variables and came to we're isolating this abortion law as causing the 12% increase or something along those lines. I'm going to ask you.
It was an 8%. South Carolina was 12%.
Sure. So let me ask you, let's say, hypothetically, there was a single infant mortality like in 2021. And then let's say the law came into effect and then there was 12 infant deaths the next year. Would you agree that would be an increase in infant mortality of 1,200%?
Assuming that there was only a single increase or a single infant death in the first year and 12 in the second, technically that would be an 1,100% increase because it's a multiple of 12. But yes, that would be genuinely accurate.
No, 12 would be a 1,200% increase because you have to
No.
include that first 100% right off the bat.
Yeah.
If I double
100%
something, is
Correct.
A 100% increase is a doubling of the previous
Sure.
state. So if you have 1 and you go to 2, that is a 100% increase because that 1 is 100%. Now you have 200%, which is
so
an
it's not the multiplicating factor. 1,200 would be the multiplicating factor.
It would be an 1,100% increase.
Sure.
Okay,
Sure.
just 1,200 would be the multiplicating factor. That's it. Thanks. I appreciate it.
Sure. Here. Do you agree? I guess what I'm trying to get is, let's say, yeah, sure, 1,100. That sounds pretty scary, doesn't it? Right? 1,100% increase. Holy shit. Right? But my question for you is, what percentage is like 216, which is the number of the increase in infant mortality deaths? What percentage is that of the over 17,000 abortions that occurred in the first half of 2020, or the 58,000, I think roughly, that occurred in 2017? Right? Like this would be like in the single digit, like below 1% of the overall number, right? I mean, we're talking
1.2%.
So 216 is 1.2%.
216 divided by 17,000 is 1.2%.
Okay.
Really doing math?
Wait, hold on. Did you use a calculator or did you just do that in your head? Because I'm about to be very
I
impressed.
used
right
a calculator.
Okay, so I'm not so impressed anymore. But I was going to be really impressed, just so you're aware.
I'm not going to lie, just so that you'll be.
No, that's fine. I know.
I just wanted the right answer.
No, that the fact that you told the truth, I think, also makes me respect your integrity more, which is good. Now, 1.2%, you would agree, is fucking nothing in this context, right? When we're looking at overall numbers.
Depends on the context. In this context, the problem is you're not comparing like to like. You're comparing 216 excess infant mortality or infant deaths to 17,000 abortions that didn't happen. So it's not a good comparison because you're not comparing the same thing to one another. However, I agree, the increase in number of deaths at due to infant mortality is very small as compared to the number of abortions that did not take place. I will agree with you on this point.
Okay, and that's, I think, the critical point here, because I think there could be pro-lifers out there, for example, who could be faced with this percentage and say, well, oh shit, I got to rethink my position on abortion because 12%, I mean, that's a lot. But I mean, that would be wrong, right? If the pro-lifer agrees that abortion is murder, right, and they think it's the taking of a life to do an abortion, any kind of reconsideration of their position here would just simply be because the data was sort of, I don't know, told to them in maybe a manipulative way. I'm not saying that you guys are doing this or that this study is necessarily doing this.
Yeah,
I'm just saying that people could absolutely use the study to do that.
I think there's a value to looking at the percentages. I mean, I think we all need to look at the raw numbers as well so that it's not hiding any context. But at the same time, when you're looking at the percentages, you can then, in your mind, start to make predictions. In fact, that's the primary value of science, right, is to make predictions. What is 2023 going to look like? What's 2024 going to look like? What is a post-Dobbs world going to look like when this gets projected over into, say, 20 states instead of one? And so 216 doesn't sound like a large number, but you project that out and it starts to go into the thousands or in the tens of thousands.
But we have.
Well, hold on. I'm not making what I'm saying is we'll know the answer to this in a year, in 2 years, in 3 years. And these numbers should increase at the same proportion that this study predicts. And if it doesn't, then we can put the study behind us and look at newer data and be relieved. If it does, then we can start to think about, are there any policy implications to this?
So we got bits for a question real quick, Teriak.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Lactoid, they are saying, even though a 1.2% increase is nothing, he has not accounted for the 17,000 unwanted children who will have miserable lives, even though they didn't die within 6 months.
Hey, I'll take that. I'll take that one. Fuck this Lactoid answer. I'm one of those 17,000 unwanted babies. I was adopted. I bet I make more money than you. How do you like the way that dictates? That's what I think about that. You can only scrunch up 200 bits to ask that question. Maybe some of those 17,000 kids are going to go through the forge and the fire, and they're going to come out steel, and then others are going to turn into pampered, weak little bitches like the person that asked that question. That's my opinion on that. Anyway, sorry.
I'll answer. I think that like
So don't fuck that grandma is what you're saying. Every
what-
life matters.
what I would answer is
yeah,
that
so,
this is
you
I
know,
think
I'm
one
not
of
paying for
the
it.
this is one of the worst arguments that I constantly hear, and I hear this one a lot, which is like, well, they're going to have bad lives, aren't they? But I think this just doesn't understand the pro-life position, which is that you don't get to kill people, and everybody who makes this argument understands this. When it comes to people outside of a womb, right? It's like, oh, like, why'd you kill that 6-month-old? Well, he was going to have a bad life. Why'd you kill that 10-year-old? He was obviously having a terrible life, so I just ended it for him. No, you don't get to do that. If a kid's having a bad life, that doesn't justify just fucking lights out because I said so. Well, Jesus
I took
Christ.
my 5-year-old to the abortion clinic. I mean, it wasn't going well at 5, so who could assume the next 13 were going to turn out great? So figured.
Just imagine all these people that wouldn't exist, like Booker T wouldn't exist. Yeah, like there's so many people.
Oh, Sprout, your 5-year-old's fine.
Yeah, shut up, Teriyaki.
The question I want answered.
Don't be so
because if we're
pessimistic
talking about abortion limits and like, there are 2 European countries, Andorra and Malta, who have abortion banned, and both of them have lower infant mortality rates than America. So how can you explain that?
Probably
geopolitical
there's like 10,000 people there total. I mean, that's
lower. Like I'm guessing lower obesity rates. They probably have more access to healthcare than some areas of the U.S.
I'm definitely going.
So basically why I'm bringing those examples up is because given your statement is abortion bans automatically mean higher infant mortality rates, but in countries where it's banned,
I'm not sure the study said automatically. Although I'm open to.
But this is the main premise of the study, that either banning or lowering.
But is it automatic, or is it just like in the context of everything else, that there are many other things that can make it go up or down, and this is one of the factors that, at least according to the study, makes it go up?
But again, like I said, in terms of when we compare Texas to Mississippi has looser abortion laws, but it's 9.1.
I understand. Because there's more than one factor involved, right? You have to take into account each of those factors. I mean, even the medical facilities themselves, are they as good as they are at Texas? I know Mississippi's a lot poorer than Texas as well, so Texas is going to have better hospitals. That could explain the. We also vary depending on whether it's a rural or a urban area.
No, we're fine. What are you talking about?
Texas would have bigger.
No, we.
This
one of them is our. We have the Medicaid. We have that Medicaid donut hole here, which most states don't have.
Yeah, but the main premise of the study is it's tying it directly to these abortions.
It's not tying it. So the conclusion, it's not tying it directly. They definitely give that impression, but at the conclusion, they specifically say that they're separating this. And it's a possibility that this is the restrictions, the law has unintended consequences on the greater society via this. They're basically saying this is the basic data that supports that theory. No, I think that a lot of this data is cherry picked. I think that you can go through here, you can just start picking out like, okay, so why did you stop there? I don't know. Going back 5 years seems kind of weird. We're gonna try to look at infant mortality rates. I'd want to go back a lot farther than 5 years, and I don't feel like it would be that hard to. So I mean, it just seems like that a lot of this data was cherry picked.
Has there been a lot of variability in abortion laws before 2018?
No, but before 2018, there should be more. Before 2018, it should be more stabilized, and you should see more stabilization, and this should be a spike. So you should see more stabilization. This should be a spike. But if it's still within the general line of where everything's going, it could be an anomaly.
I'm going in the other direction on this. I want to see the 2023 data and the 2024 data.
Well, we don't have that. What I'm saying is the study had previous data.
Well, I think 2023 data should be out by now,
but
right?
what I'm saying is this study didn't have the data when they did this study. So why didn't they get 2017 data? Why didn't they get 2016 data? Why did 2018 going back 5 years for a study like this? It seems what?
Because you can get rate of changes per year. So like I said in the South Carolina example, if the law got petitioned against and it didn't come into place in South Carolina in 2021, it still increased by 12% anyway.
So one thing
change in the abortion.
One thing we can have consensus on is that we should fund studies like this more so that we can get more data.
No, this seems cherry picked. It seems cherry picked data.
I'm just saying, if you want more data, it's not.
No,
free.
I'm sorry.
Private
This
people
just
should fund that.
no. This just seems like a Twitch. This just seems like a Twitch poll opinion article where they put in all the data that supports basically what they're saying, and then conveniently left the data out that doesn't support what they're saying. In this article, it's not pulling up any studies saying we disagree with these people because of this, that, or the other. They're simply basically just stating their case. And listen, I've seen plenty of debates, and I've watched trials. Just because the prosecution gives that opening statement, it sounds good, doesn't mean that as soon as the defense gets up there and starts talking, that all of a sudden you see the prosecution's full of shit. I would say Karen Reed, but not Karen Reed, because the prosecution was terrible there. But what I'm saying is you're not hearing the other story, and they're not pulling other studies to say we disagree with this study because of that.
Wait, so hold on. Let me just to clarify what you're saying, so I understand.
Okay.
I think that this is what you're saying, but I want to make sure. You're saying this is not a good study, and the reason, the big reason, or at least one of the reasons that you're pointing to this, is because they don't have any data that is in opposition to their claim. Is that correct?
That's one of the reasons. That's not the major reason, but that's one of the minor reasons. Yeah.
So if the data supports them, it's their fault for not getting the opposite data.
Yeah,
no, they're not including. What I'm saying is they're not including any educational disagreements. They're not saying that we disagree with this study because.
But if there are, just for fun.
Well, that's what peer review is. If they went through the peer review process, then they were critiqued by people who disagree.
Okay, so either way, that's a minor point of contention of mine. The major point of contention is this data seems cherry picked. Again, going back only 5 years, you're going to need more time than 5 years to actually be able to prove to the reader or to whoever you're.
I mean, I'm all for funding them to add to
whoever you're
duplicate this data for another 5
It wouldn't
years.
take that much funding though, because these numbers would just be publicly given. I'm sure they can get these numbers via FOIA requests.
I'm going to exit the call and come back so that my camera can work.
Cool.
Okay. I'm sure they put FOIA requests in for this stuff. I'm sure that's how they got the numbers they have is because of FOIA requests. So just adjust the FOIA request, not say 2018 and drop it back another 5 years, put it back to 2013.
I think I see a business opportunity for you, Sprat, because if you can do this without institutional funding and get the same quality of data, I think you can be very successful in this field.
Again, I've given 3 examples. Mississippi, it has less stringent abortion laws than Texas, and it's 60% more infant mortality rate. I've given the example of Malta, where it's banned completely, and the USA has a 14% higher infant mortality rate. I've given the example of Andorra, which again, abortion is banned, and the USA has a 50% more infant mortality rate. So to say that there's any correlation between abortion laws and infant mortality rate is wrong.
I mean, to be fair, comparing Mississippi mortality rates to any state in the U.S. is basically like comparing the third world mortality rates to any other state in the U.S. Mississippi is.
But again, this goes to the point that the poorer the country, the higher the infant mortality rate. That's more of a correlation than abortion laws. This is the point I'm trying to make.
No, I got it. I just wanted to, throw Mississippi under the bus.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's denying that is a factor that exists. I think the argument is whether or not there's another factor, or if you think poverty is the only factor.
But what I'm saying is that there is no correlation to the abortion laws, but there is correlation to, for example, for.
Well, hold on.
Wait,
To say no correlation.
There is correlation. This study proves correlation. What doesn't prove is causation.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't prove correlation.
It proves correlation.
I've given you 3 examples.
Do you know what correlating means? Happened at the same time.
I love when people ask these. Do you know what conservative means?
3 examples.
You know what correlation means?
No, correlating means happening. Wait, stop. Correlating means happening at the same time. You do understand that, right?
Yes, but correlation does not mean causation. Correct?
I agree. I said the study proved correlation, but it failed to prove causation.
Yes.
Okay, so why are you disagreeing with me?
Point.
Well, look, the only problem with pointing at other states and other countries and saying that their total number without teasing out all the different factors is a bit like saying turning on the heater doesn't make your house warm. How do I know? Because when that house across the street turned on its heater, it didn't get any warmer. Of course, all of their windows were open, and it was the middle of winter. But still, it didn't happen there, and it did happen in this other house where the windows were closed. Well, it's because the windows are a separate factor. You have to factor those in. That's what requires so much effort with studies like this, is because you have to tease out each effort, and then you have to subtract that from the total, all of the variables, and then see what's left. And you haven't done that yet with these other examples that you're bringing up. So if you want to tell us what each of the factors are,
yes,
and submit it to peer review like these guys did, then we can say that it's an apples to apples comparison.
This study is saying Texas's infant mortality rate went up by 8%, and they put in correlation of the abortion law. They put these stringent abortion laws in place. So what I've done is I give you the example of South Carolina, which Mr. Blue Shirt here says that never went into place in that year. But in 2021, it went up by 12%, and then it went back down to the original rate with no change in the abortion laws whatsoever. There was a rate of change of 12%. So this 8% change, to say that this 8% change has anything got to do with the abortion laws, is erroneous.
I mean, I can imagine why you would get a lot of noise in 2021, right? I think we all know why it would get a lot of noise, right? If you get pregnant in 2020, and by 2021, there's the increased, of course, with COVID and everything else that was happening that year, that's going to throw a big spanner in the works, right? We need to see 2022 is going to be a little bit of a return to consistency, but I think we need to see 2023 and 2024 before we either can dismiss or accept this as just something that's going to be consistent going forward.
Because again, this is what I'm saying, that this study basically proves nothing. As you just said, it doesn't.
I don't know. I think the jury's still out. I think this is an early indication. It's a prediction of what we could maybe expect in future years, and its value will be in how it predicts 2023 and 2024. We're going to know the answer to this pretty soon.
But this is why I bring up the examples of Andorra and Malta, where abortion is banned. Why do they have a lower
and where they have much better healthcare?
Well,
I mean, there's a lot of different variables.
Yeah.
Yes, the question is, in the United States.
You're a little low, Hammer.
Oh,
Hammer, sorry.
Yeah. Well, I have some questions as well, but I'll let Gibbs get in first.
Yeah, it's a quick question. So just to clarify for everybody listening and for myself, is the amount of abortions that were happening before like higher? Like all those people that don't exist now, let's just say they all count as a kill. Bang. Just for the sake of argument. And we're gonna sit here. Is that higher than what the amount of people amount of children that have died with the infant mortality rate? Because if that's if they're not, then it sounds like more babies are living to me. Like I just somebody.
Yeah, I made that point at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
obviously, the number. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. If you consider a 6-week-old fetus to have equal status to a 9-month-old that's right about to be born, then you're right. The math works out. But presumably there are a lot of people reading the study that don't give them the same status, right? They don't have a brainstem yet. Kind of hard to think. But understood that if you consider human personhood to begin at fertilization, then obviously the math is going to work out the other way.
Okay, that's what I wanted. That's what I thought. Hammer, any questions you got?
I had some questions for the guy that left. Did anyone know where he went?
Are we talking about Sprout or are we talking about Teriak?
Teria.
Oh, I'm sure he'll be right back.
Yeah, he just stepped away, it looks like.
Okay. Well, I guess my questions that I'm gonna probably have to ask him again is just like when it comes to the numbers, and I probably agree with a cow that, I mean, obviously, 1 year of correlation doesn't prove anything, but it is it's an indicative factor, right? And when he keeps bringing up other factors, like when he talks about Mississippi and their infant mortality going up in 2021 and then going back down, or Malta's examples, I don't really know why he's using these numbers. Like, did Mississippi, when their infant mortality rate increase, was that because of abortion laws? Or in like Malta, when he says that the infant mortality rate is like very low, even though they have abortion banned, was there like, is he looking at numbers based on after they banned abortion, or has it always been banned, right? Because if neither of these things are the case, I really don't think any of that is applicable here at all. We're looking at the difference between when we look at a period of time where abortion is legal and then versus when it becomes illegal, what is the difference? And if there's any example that isn't also that, then I don't think any of that is relevant.
Wait, why wouldn't it be relevant if it was like, say, Malta? Let's just use Malta, right? So say, I don't know, I'm just going to make this up. But like, say they've always had it bad, right? And their infant mortality rate is lower. Why would that data matter? Like whether or not it became legal, and we're just talking about comparable like states, like right, like okay, Texas got an abortion ban, like it doesn't really matter when it started. Malta's got an abortion ban that they've always had, right? Like you can still compare the numbers, right? Like because they're still there. It doesn't matter if it's a transition; it's the current state, right? And that the main factor. Or do you disagree there?
No, because I mean, infant mortality is obviously multi-factor, right? There's always going to be several reasons as to why that might be the case, right? So if you look at why does Malta have low infant mortality and why does Texas have high or relatively high infant mortality, there could be a million reasons, right? And one of those reasons, like especially like poverty or something like that, in Malta can offset any issues with abortion bans. That doesn't mean, just because of that offset, doesn't mean that abortion bans have no effect. Right?
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that logic. I think that that's wrong.
What part of that logic don't you agree
I don't think that matters when the ban took place. Like maybe like if we're talking about just like the initial like the year, if we're only talking about like a 1 year segment, right? But if we're saying we wouldn't like compare over time, I don't know that it matters like when something happened, but if it's in the same state like of like being, that's still like comparable data. Like to like you know what I'm saying? That'd be like okay, if Texas had no abortion ban, you'd compare it to other places with no abortion ban, and that would be comparable data because they're both places with none of it, right? So like to compare that to Malta definitely makes sense. I don't really know how that doesn't make sense to you, but
no. You wouldn't look like if you were looking at Texas with no abortion bans and you're comparing it to another state with no abortion bans, and you're seeing which one had higher infant mortality rates. Well, then what are you looking for?
I mean, yeah, that's really the whole question now, isn't it?
No, because you're saying that like if you want to do a study on infant mortality, then you need to look at two states with the same laws on abortion. So, but if you do, and they have different.
Well, I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying it would be relevant data. I don't know, like that's definitely something you can compare it to. Like that's the whole reason he brought it up. He's like, okay, this is a place that's got modern healthcare, that has an abortion ban, that has lower infant mortality rate, right? And then he compared it, to Texas, right? And he also used another one like Mississippi, and which was worse, right? I think that's like data that doesn't matter that Malta may or may not have always had an abortion ban. I don't see how that's relevant to the information at all. Like, why would that affect the information?
Why do you think studies have control groups?
Yeah, wouldn't that be a control group?
Should I restate my case?
No.
Go for it. Yeah, he's got questions with it here.
Yeah, so again, I'll make the case again. So what this study is suggesting or stating is that if you ban or lower the abortion window, you will see a higher increase in infant mortality rate. The way it does this is Texas introduced or lowered the abortion ban to 6 weeks, and we've seen an 8% increase. Therefore, if you lower the abortion window, it increases the infant mortality rate. However, in the example of South Carolina, in 2020, it was 6.64. Then in 2021, they signed a bill, I think it was February 18th, 2021, and they saw a 12% increase. But in 2022, it went back down to 6.75. This is an example of where, but what Blue Shirt said. I want to
go over that again.
But, but let me finish. But what Blue Shirt said is that this abortion thing actually never went into place. But that just proves my point more because no abortion law changed and it went up by 12%. So to suggest that just because Texas has an 8% increase, that is within a margin of error for that state or for any of these states, or rate of change per year for these states.
Not for
Okay,
Texas.
so you have a state that over a period of time, let's say 20, so that's 2 years, right? They have a dramatic increase in infant mortality, and then it goes back
It's not
down,
a
right?
dramatic
Would you
increase.
say that
No, my premise is
whatever
that it's not a dramatic increase. It's within
in
the
South
rate of
Carolina?
change per year.
In
Yeah,
South
South Carolina it was 12%, but the abortion law never went into place.
Okay, well,
And
you
you've
said
seen an
that
increase of
12%
12%.
increase in the infant mortality rate is like regular, that something we regularly see throughout a single year.
Yes, without any abortion law changes. And again, to
Wait,
reiterate
well,
the argument,
no,
the argument is for this
I'm just saying,
study
like on
that it's claiming
average.
it does.
I'm just gonna look that up. Like, is it like the flu season or something? Is that what you're saying? Because I'm not talking about abortion laws for now.
Yes, but what the whole
Would you
point
say
is
that
the
it's
study is
regular?
suggesting that though.
Okay. Sure. I'm just confused about that statement, but that's not the point. Okay, so we look at a state over 2 years that has some kind of, however relevant, however significant you want to call it, it has an increase in infant mortality and then a decrease over time. Would you say that's like there? Would you say that something caused that? That
Sorry,
there's
say
some
that
kind of
again.
explanation? Would you say that there's some
State that
kind of
again.
explanation that we should? Would you say that there's some kind of explanation for that increase and then decrease, or would you say that it's like, it's impossible to tell?
There could be a whole range of why it went up, or it could just simply be a down year or an increase year. To say that it's, again, to reiterate the argument is that based on this study, what it's saying, and I'm saying to say that just because they introduced an abortion law and you're directly attributing this 8% to that abortion law, which is not the case, because we've seen in South Carolina where there was supposed to be an abortion law, but as Blue Shirt says, it didn't go through. But you still seen a 12% increase, even though there was no change in the abortion law. So this study saying that just because Texas goes up by 8%, it's erroneous to say that or to make that claim.
Okay, so do you think? I mean, maybe I'll look this up. If 12%, because 12% seems like a pretty significant increase. Whatever the cause is, it seems like a pretty significant increase in infant
Yes,
mortality.
but it increased without any changes to the abortion law. So
Okay,
saying that
that's
an
fine.
8% increase for abortion law
Well,
makes
no,
no sense.
No, I don't know if I agree with that logic, because it seems like there's some kind of cause, probably COVID, right? If we're being honest, but if it wasn't abortion laws, then there was some kind of cause behind the 12% increase, right?
Yes, but the topic is it abortion laws that caused this?
Okay, well, no, because what it seems like you're saying is that if in this case, something else caused an increase in abortion laws, then abortion laws can't cause an increase in infant mortality, right? But I don't think that logically pans
Yes,
out.
what I'm saying is
Multiple things can
what,
cause infant mortality.
yes, so correct. I think we actually agree here. I think we're just talking past you. What I'm saying is the study is wrong. That's what I'm saying. It could be anything.
Okay. Sure. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with that, but I would ask for like a better explanation.
Again, like I said, I gave the example of South Carolina. We could look at Mississippi, for example, which is the #1 state for infant mortality. That has less stringent abortion laws than Texas. But you could increase Texas' infant mortality rate by 50%, and it still would not be as high as Mississippi's. And as multiple people have agreed, Mississippi is a lot poorer state than Texas, which would, in my opinion, here's my opinion now, that would have a bigger impact than abortion laws. We can also look to Europe, where there's 2 countries where abortion is banned and it has a lower infant mortality rate than America.
Again, I just don't see I don't see that, because just because other factors can affect the infant mortality rate, say poverty, right? So in the case of Mississippi, where poverty is higher, so infant mortality is higher, and say Malta, where their probably poverty is really low, so why infant mortality is really low. That just implicates that both poverty and potentially, according to the study, abortion laws can lead to infant mortality.
But the study does not prove it. It simply suggests that because Texas has seen an 8%
And-
increase,
Yeah, it's indicative.
it is
It's
tying that to the
indicative.
abortion law. Yes,
Yeah, it's indicative,
correlation
but
does
I
not
mean,
prove
it's-
causation.
Sure, but it is indicative. And also, if you have a correlation that seems to be explanatory, and you don't have a better
But-
explanation, again, it's not proof.
I do,
but
because
Hold on, you
it's
can't
I
just
do.
Occam's razor that shit. That's not
Yeah,
how that
exactly.
works. That's fucking. Are you smoking crack? Well, like, come on, bro. You can't just go over here and be like, yeah, we're gonna just yada yada a whole fucking bunch of information and be like, Occam's razor. We don't have any other explanation. It's got to be that one.
Well, if
like
you
that.
have a better,
That's the most
well,
retarded
if you
shit I've
have a
ever
better
heard.
explanation.
Yeah, I mean, I
mean,
have an
again-
explanation. You want to know what my explanation is? It's that there's a reason other countries call the United States Texas and it's 49 bitches. It's because we're leaders. And other people are sitting here looking at Texas who's leading the way. And there's some people that are trying to take us down because they're liberal cucks and they want to sit here. They've created a biased bullshit study that's trying to use correlation to set equal causation. And that's what's happened.
Exactly.
And that's what the data produced
Okay,
by other
that's not what I
studies.
asked.
And that's why I know
And-
that's not what you. And then I'm going to get to what you asked. And so guess what? Whenever I sit here and go, what's the most likely Occam's razor simple solution? It's that a bunch of liberal cucks made a bullshit study. That's what I'm sitting here coming down to.
Exactly.
Wait, no,
Gibbs,
that's
exactly.
not what I asked for the record. That's not. I asked for a better explanation as to why the infant mortality increased.
I just gave it to you.
Poverty.
No,
You
said
didn't, though. You didn't
poverty.
actually give a reason
Poverty-
why mortality
Yeah,
increased.
it's a bullshit thing. It's like
This is-
So you don't. So you don't think that
This is why I brought up the example of
you don't think
Mississippi, which we
mortality
all agree
actually
Mississippi
increased in
is a lot
Texas?
more
I think it's
poor.
way to change. I mean, no,
in
because
Texas.
we already talked about this with Ico's opening. I literally was like, oh, how many more people died? Oh, is it less people than were aborted? Oh, well, in that case, it's the infant mortality rate's actually lower. So, like, the whole argument's out the fucking window. You threw the baby out with the
Exactly.
bathwater.
Again,
so to
if
speak.
we're
Based,
accepting the premise,
based.
if we're accepting the premise of like we're only talking about infant mortality, which does not include abortion.
Oh, it does. It
if
does count that. We're
increasing-
definitely
No, see
counting it.
now you're just changing definitions to suit
No.
your purpose. It doesn't actually.
No.
I mean,
I'm
actually
sorry
work.
that y'all don't want to sit here and
I
call
mean-
a baby a baby. It's a baby either way, folks. That's
No,
what I'm
you're
saying.
just
I mean,
changing
if you're-
definitions.
Well, I mean, clearly
No,
Texas
but
thinks the way I do,
you're
which is the
changing-
state I live in and
you're,
we
like,
voted.
changing the
So that's really the
factors.
only opinion that matters, because all these other states
Hallelujah.
follow me suit.
What you're doing is changing the goalpost because you're not saying that like, oh, this
Well, I'm
infant
just giving you the
mortality
goalpost
is
that we should be
increased.
measuring
What
it
you're
by.
saying,
Okay.
no. What you're saying, you're not saying that the infant mortality isn't being increased by these abortion.
I am
laws.
saying,
You're
I'm saying it's being
that
decreased
it is
because there's less
acceptable.
babies
No, you're
dying
saying
than
that
if we
it
had been
is
just wiping them out with the
acceptable because-
abortion.
No, the only argument that you can make with that is that it is acceptable the increase in infant mortality rate because of the lower abortion rate.
This is the most autismo chorizo retarded bullshit I've ever heard. I'm sitting here taking, you take all the babies that died via abortion, and then it's less than the people that died after we banned it, then guess what? It's a net positive for babies. I don't understand how you can sit here and be confused
These
about
are
this.
two different forms. These are two different things. I mean, if you want to say that
They're not
like,
two different
they're
things.
To
morally
reiterate,
equivalent,
let me try to build a
they're
bridge here. Let me try to build a bridge here, right?
Before we continue,
To-
we're going to end this topic, so let's get some final statements. But you go ahead, Teriak, and then we'll get
Yeah, to
some
build a
closing.
bridge, like ICAO Rich basically phrased up, this study tells us nothing. Basically, we have to wait until 2023 to see if Texas' infant mortality rate goes down or goes up from this. This study tells us nothing, which is what my
My
whole point has
confidence
been.
in the results of this study go way up if it repeats in 24.
Yeah, so again, that
And
would be-
even the study authors recognize that they need like confirmation of this. So this
Yeah.
isn't. You're not saying anything the study authors themselves didn't say.
No, I've given multiple examples of why. Like, for example, Mississippi, which we all agree is a poor state, that could be one thing in terms of the medical facilities, the medical practitioners as well, knowledge, training, all that kind of stuff. There's multiple compounding factors here, but to say, like the study's trying to say, it's just because
The study
Texas
isn't
introduced
trying to say
abortion-
what you think it's trying to say.
Because Texas introduced an abortion law or an abortion restriction does not attribute that 8% increase to that thing. That is what my whole point has been. That's my whole point.
Can I ask you just a really quick question? Do you agree with Gibbs's point that it's more like this is okay because the abortion rate has decreased more than the infant mortality rate has increased, so therefore it's like that's why it's okay? Or would
Well,
you?
that would be
What is
another,
your argument
that would be another argument in favor. I am pro-life, like to be 100% straight up with you
Sure.
guys. Okay,
Okay.
no tricks up the sleeve here. Okay, I'm being 100% honest. I am pro-life, but like I said, that would be one. That could be one calculation that you could make. That's because there's less babies dying. The
Okay.
infant mortality rate, again, like we're talking about, was it like an increase of? I think it was what, like 0.4 per thousand, or no, sorry, 0.8 per thousand increase. So that's, again,
I
like I
just
said,
I
216.
just
I
want
think
to
is the total
confirm
number.
that
So if you have less
I just
abortions than 216,
I
in
just want
terms
to
of
confirm that
a
Gibbs
sum
was
zero game,
I just want to confirm that Gibbs was changing the goalposts for the
I was
record.
not changing the goalpost.
he's offering another
Okay,
way
he
you could
said that,
calculate in terms of the study.
which is
It's the
change the
correct way.
goalposts.
It
But
was the correct way to calculate it. Yeah.
Lizzie did want to change. Lizzie wanted to change topics, so I won't harp on that more.
Yeah,
But
we're gonna go ahead and get a last statement from everyone that wants to get a last statement on this topic, and then we're gonna move on to the next one.
Yeah,
Anybody,
I can give a last statement.
Sure.
I think that ultimately the reason why this study is interesting, I suppose, just from like a health perspective, but the reason why people are pointing this out is obviously due to the opposition to abortion restrictions, right? This is the reason. This is the political reason. This is why we're talking about it here today. This is why anybody gives a fuck, right? Because people don't like the abortion restrictions. They're looking for reasons to be opposed to it. And it doesn't, it wouldn't shock me whatsoever. And I think this is the case, is that people are going to use these percentage increases to justify, say, look how high the percentage increase was, without actually explaining the raw numbers, which are extraordinarily low, without explaining the comparison between the raw numbers and the numbers of abortions, which is dramatic. There's a massive disparity there, in which any pro-lifer, if they can do math, would be absolutely, it would just be a terrible decision to forego abortion restrictions based on this single piece of data. And I know it's not particularly relevant, but I just want to be clear. People look at Texas and they say, look how restrictive and crazy this abortion law is. And maybe this is because I just recently got off of an abortion argument earlier today. But we look at Texas that has this like relatively extreme law, but there's also plenty of states in America that have it the other way around. During the presidential debate, Trump mentioned that there are places in this country in which you can get abortion all the way up until the day of pregnancy, and Joe Biden said, no, that's not true. The reality is it is true. In Oregon, Alaska, New Mexico, Colorado, Minnesota, Michigan, Vermont, and Delaware, or not Delaware, Connecticut, you can, and Puerto Rico, you can get an abortion all the way up until birth. So
Electively?
Yes, electively, there's no medical requirements in all those states. So you can look this up. I did.
Do we have any numbers on how often that happens? Like, what are the numbers?
Oh, no, the numbers are relatively rare. But again, infant mortality is also relatively rare. And I think that's an important thing if we're going to look at, hey, look how crazy these, look at these laws. And you can say these laws are crazy based on like their foundation or based on, is it right to even have these laws in the first place? That's a different discussion. But, if we're going to actually have to take a look at what the effect of these laws are, and we're going to look at the increase in infant mortality, these numbers are just insignificant. I'm sorry, right? 216 lives, that sucks, but it is insignificant in the broader scheme here, which we're talking 17,000 in the first half of 2022, or you go back to 2017, over 50,000 for the whole year. I mean, we're talking thousands upon thousands upon thousands. It's just no comparison.
Okay, Rich.
Yeah, so I just I looked up both Mississippi and Malta because there was something bugging me about both of those references, and here's one of them. In Mississippi, the total number of cases was like something like 300, 330 of infant mortality cases. So a 12% increase, if that's what it was, would have been an increase of like a dozen or 2 dozen, something like that.
No, it wasn't 12% increase. I brought up Mississippi because Mississippi is the number one. It's the highest infant mortality rate at 9.1. Texas is only 5.7.
Yeah, but okay, but I'm talking about the raw numbers of cases, because if you're looking at small numbers like 330 cases,
we're talking about the raw numbers. We're talking about 9.1 per thousand.
No, of course. Look,
5.7 per
if it
thousand.
goes from 1 to 2, that's a 100% increase, right? But if it's off of the possibility of noise in the data goes way up when the sample size is small. So if you're talking about a sample size of 330 versus in Texas 2,500, big difference in sample size, right? And then I looked at Malta. There were a total of 11 infant deaths.
per
So if you
capita.
wanted to have a 10% swing in one direction or another, that's just one infant death that causes that swing to go up by 10% in one direction or another.
Yes, but this is
so
why
these
we
are
use
very,
per
very small
capita.
numbers compared to Texas.
And this
Now,
is
if
why
you
we
want
use
to
per
add up,
capita.
yeah. So probably the better way to go would be to look at the total number for the worldwide, because that would be a much larger number, a far bigger sample size than Texas even. And if Texas is above the worldwide average, sure, you can cherry pick whatever states and countries they're going to go in the opposite direction, so that you can say they balance out Texas, although they don't, because both of them combined have a 10% of the total number that Texas has. But if you did it to the whole world, if you did global numbers or even national numbers, then I would accept that a lot more, because it's not a small sample size that's easy to swing in one direction or another with noise.
Yes, and this is why we use per thousand.
No, per thousand gets messed up if you're talking about very, very small sample sizes, because if you have only 11 infant deaths in Malta, and then the next year you get 12, that's a 9% increase.
No, because that's not how that's not the way the percentage was calculated. The percentage was calculated based on the per capita. The infant deaths per 1,000.
Yes, you're talking about 4.3 deaths per 1,000 as opposed to 5.3 deaths per 1,000 because one extra baby died that year. If that person hadn't gotten pregnant, then it would the increase totally wouldn't have happened. Like, you're talking about data that's extremely susceptible to noise based on a small sample size. You have to compare to larger sample sizes.
We use per capita to.
Well, this is also true of the
negate that.
Texas information too, right? The Texas, it's very small
Texas
data.
has 2,500 infant deaths, so it's 10 times the number.
No, the increase though. The increase is only 216.
Exactly.
Yeah, 216 as opposed to the increase in the increase in Mississippi being only 20. You see, that's an order of magnitude bigger in Texas.
Wait, hold on.
South Carolina.
What was the sample size for these two here? I mean, like, why don't we get lost in the
sample size is 2,500 for Texas, and for Mississippi it's 300, and for Malta it's 11. Not 1,100, 11.
I get where Rich is kind of going here, but the problem is like I've been hearing nothing but cope from the left for the last hour and a half, and it's kind of fucking killing me.
Yeah, tell us.
Let's be real here, okay? This is the entire topic is picked because this is a political beat stick for the left because they want to go after the women vote because women find this to be a major critical issue. I'm fine with that. Go for it. This is the one time on the one argument where you guys actually take an L on abortion, because what you should have done is said, hey, look, it's very clear from this conversation that if you want to improve child mortality, it is giving them access to healthcare. And like go down the whole like socialist healthcare beat drum, whatever you want to do, like that. This was a very clear bait and switch.
Was made.
I'm sure it was
3 times.
Yeah, anyway, this is a very clear bait and switch. Like we could have moved the fuck on. Like of all the times that abortion makes the right look like shit, unfortunately, this is one of the times where we actually are going to take this one away. Can we move on to topic 2, please?
I was giving everybody their last
Did
say
you
on
just
this,
say we and when you said right in the same sentence?
I know that's I'm stuck on that part. Let's go there.
Yeah.
So
I just want to make a
without
I still
explaining
consider
why
myself variety, but whatever.
Ancom, go ahead.
I just want to make a quick statement that people are like the people arguing against the study clearly do not understand the study. The critiques made of the study have been admitted to by the authors themselves in the very study. The point is that it provides additional evidence towards this idea that abortion bans tend to adversely affect infant health, which does seem to be evidence, but there's not a clear causal connection, I admit. And even the study authors admit this is a strong correlative piece of evidence, not necessarily causative. Read the conclusion and you will understand this. That's all I have to say.
Correlation does not prove causation, correct?
And
No
Terry,
shit.
Yeah, thank you.
Your closing
like I
statement
said,
on this?
summing this up, I've given multiple examples. 2 countries where abortion is banned, it has lower rates than America. We can talk about bigger studies and all that stuff, but as the gentleman, and to reiterate the argument, the whole point of this was to prove that the study does not prove anything, which these lefties have admitted. So I think I've proven my case.
Right.
I mean, you haven't proven anything. You just
Wait.
keep taking what I'm saying out of context and getting bullshit rebuttals, but okay.
Okay.
All right.
I
So
have-
moving on.
I have a
Go
quick-
ahead, Hammer.
Wait, I have a quick ending statement. So I'm going to be completely honest. I really don't believe that like arguing abortion with pro-lifers. I really don't think that gets anywhere. I don't think there's really any like common ground to like argue upon when someone sees like one life has more weight and one person doesn't. However, if we just want to look at like numbers and how we can look at studies, I have some issues with some of the ways that the right wingers are looking at this. And yes, of course, this doesn't prove anything. This isn't even the strongest evidence in the world. However, seeing a significant increase or decrease in a statistic after a certain event has happened without any other event giving an explanation for that increase or decrease, that is pretty strong evidence of a positive link. And that's my closing statement.
Awesome.
I got to close this statement.
Why
That's
not?
Where everyone does now.
That's
Go
some whatever Hammer just said. That's some lib cuckery if I've ever heard it. Don't listen to that. Just by hearing what he said, I know he's wrong. I've never heard a more wrong statement in my life. I'm not even going to elaborate anymore. I don't need to.
I mean, you're right. I mean, it is. I mean, academics is liberal. Looking at studies is
The idea that I need to tuck it, but hold on. You know what's abhorrent to what you said? The idea that I need to I should tape my dick back and not talk to the opposition because it might not get me anywhere is some pussy baby back bullshit.
I mean, you can
if I've ever heard it. I mean, yeah. I think some of us let our balls hang low. Some of us do what you are espousing upon, or whatever. I mean, that's don't stop doing that. That's pussy shit. Be a man. Talk to people. Get some chest hair. Eat some hot sauce.
Problem with letting your balls hang low is they get cut off really easy.
I don't think that arguing that you should be pro-abortion or like pro-choice is what's going to make me a man. I don't think that's a rite of passage anywhere. But maybe I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
Well, at this point, let's find out what makes a king. The Supreme Court has made a controversial ruling recently in regard to former and current presidents. What does this mean going forward, and what does this mean for the court? Justices rule that Trump has some immunity from prosecution. In a historic decision, a divided Supreme Court on Monday ruled that former presidents can never be prosecuted for actions relating to the core powers of their office, and that there is at least a presumption that they have immunity for their official acts more broadly. The decision left open the possibility that the charges brought against former President Donald Trump by special counsel Jack Smith, alleging that Trump conspired to overturn the results of the 2020 election, can still go forward to the extent that the charges are based on his private conduct rather than his official acts. The case now returns to the lower courts for them to determine whether the conduct at the center of the charges against Trump was official or unofficial, an inquiry that, even if it leads to the conclusion that the charges can proceed, will almost certainly further delay any trial in the case, which had originally been scheduled to begin October 4th, 2024. How do we feel about this? Starting with Gibbs.
Yeah, so I haven't agreed with every decision the Supreme Court's made, this Supreme Court specifically. However, I think they're one of the better Supreme Courts in recent memory. I think they go through stuff and they're pretty like spot on with most of the interpretations. Or if I don't agree, I think the reasoning is generally at least sound. I think I'm sure Lactoid's going to elaborate on this in his opening, but maybe there's a few things I wish they'd covered a little more in depth with some of the concerns, but overall, I think this was the correct ruling. I think most of the rulings have generally been correct or at least pretty sound. And I'm kind of wondering if part of the reason why they didn't go as in depth is because they know an upcoming case that they're about to take is going to cover some of what they're about to like rule here in the future. I don't know if that's something they factor in. I think it might be, but I'm definitely okay with this decision. People that are sitting here throwing up in their arms about it, saying he's going to send in SEAL Team 6 are fucking stupid. and like they just have no actual understanding of the law, and it's just not a realistic thing that's going to happen. But I think this is the correct decision.
All right, Rich.
A couple of things about this decision I thought was interesting. All of my points right now are about to bore Lactoid because we already had this conversation on another panel. But one of them is that in the concurring opinion by Justice Barrett, she said specifically felt the need to say that that what happened in Georgia was not an official act, and so that none of this would protect Trump in the Georgia case. Why she felt the need to say that, I don't know, but it sounds to me that they're already trying to limit the amount of things that a president can get away with as regards to an official act. I think that might have been the price to get somebody like Barrett on board, and Roberts for that matter. I don't know. I guess we'll have to see going forward. And there was another point that I wanted to make about it too, which that it's very. I'm curious now where the Supreme Court will say the check is on the presidency when it comes to official acts. And I'm going to get Lactoid respond to this because he has responded to this point before, and that is to say. McConnell, in his decision on impeachment, he specifically said the reason he wasn't whipping for impeachment or for conviction on impeachment was because Congress was the wrong place to decide these things. That this was actually, it's supposed to be the courts that take care of these things, and it would be wrong for the separation of powers for them to decide it in Congress, and therefore he whipped the other way. He whipped against conviction, and he specifically said very famously that the president hasn't gotten away with anything yet, and he said yet twice. And so his argument was that the courts will do this. He's essentially immune from impeachment because he's not immune in the courts. And of course, now he's immune in both. So where's the check on the presidency? That's what I want to ask.
All right, Lactoid.
Yeah, so this case has been one of the more controversial cases, to put it mildly, that has come out recently. I know that there has been a few. You have the Chevron being overturned. That was a big one. But then this one came out, and it's significantly more controversial. I'm going to start out by saying that I have some problems with the majority opinion. I'm not saying it's a perfectly written opinion. Roberts has never really been my favorite justice. I think that he's a little bit verbose when he doesn't have to be. And I think that, compared to justices like Alito or Thomas or Gorsuch, I think those are the three most impressive justices, although Barrett is also impressing me a lot recently. And I think Barrett brings up some good concerns here in this case. But Roberts writes a typical Roberts decision. What I think is interesting is Roberts is really the most moderate justice on the court. Most people would agree with that. And he is the one who drafted this decision. Most people would have expected that for such a controversial decision, someone like Alito or Thomas may have drafted it, but no, it was Roberts. I think that my main criticism with Roberts's decision here is that he's not clear on a few things. The main thing that he's not clear on is responding to Sotomayor's criticisms, specifically her hypotheticals. He somewhat responds to Coney Barrett's hypothetical, which I think is good, right? But he sort of hand waves all the hypotheticals being presented by Sotomayor with this sort of, it's fear-mongering. I don't have to address it, it's fear-mongering. And I agree to some extent it is fear-mongering, but that doesn't mean you don't address it, right? No matter how much I don't appreciate Sotomayor, she is a justice of the Supreme Court. And when a justice of the Supreme Court, in her dissent, puts forward some hypotheticals that honestly deserve answering, and you don't answer it, that looks bad on you. And I think that does look bad on Roberts, and I think that was bad of him to do. I think he should have put in the effort to answer at least some of the pressing hypotheticals here. Because I'm not coming to the conclusion that the president can send in SEAL Team 6 to execute his political opponents, even though, some people are drawing that conclusion. These were arguments made at trial, and Sotomayor is suggesting this potentially could be the case. I don't think Roberts' decision implies that. I think that Roberts specifically said that she was fear-mongering and that all this case does is just a very narrow set of circumstances here. But still, it wasn't good enough. That bothered me. However, those criticisms aside, I think the core of this case has some real merit. And when you actually read the case and you understand what the purpose of the Constitution was, and more critically, you understand what separation of powers was supposed to be by the framers of the Constitution, the document most inspired by God, if there was one in this country. I think that you see the need to have the president be immune from congressional acts, because the moment that Congress can simply pass laws to undermine the president, now you no longer have 3 branches of government, you have 2 branches of government, really. The president has always had tremendous amounts of power. He could fire nukes at random countries if he so chooses. This has been the case for years. That's within his plenary authority. People aren't freaking out about that, despite the fact that he has a nuclear briefcase. I don't understand why it's such a large leap, first of all, even though I don't necessarily believe this is the case. But I don't understand why people think it's such a large leap then, or such like a huge change that he can do some of the things that are brought up in the hypotheticals that Sotomayor brings forward. The real question is, to me, and what the majority tries to get at, how do we maintain our separation of powers? Separation of powers is not explicitly mentioned in the Constitution, but it is at the core of the Constitution. Without separation of powers, we do not have 3 branches of government. There's a reason why the Constitution laid out 3 branches of government. And I think this case does a great job at preserving those 3 branches of government. So we can get more into it, but I do think that overall this case is good. I do appreciate Barrett's concerns, and I think that her concurrence may actually be superior to the majority. I probably would have preferred that, but overall, good decision.
All right, Hammer.
Yeah, I think this is a really scary decision, honestly. And I think that honestly, you could probably argue however you want, based on your personal biases, because like the interpretations of the ruling can, based on like every single what is an official act is one of the biggest questions that's come out of this, and it really hasn't gotten a proper answer. And also, something maybe I'm ignorant on this, but a question that I have is, what is presumption of immunity, right? So if because I've heard things about how if you take a president to court for something, then it can't even be admitted because of this immunity. But obviously that can't be the case, because it's only a presumptive immunity. It's not absolute immunity. So does that create a standard for whether or not something can even be admitted, or is it just something to be used while in the courts? And things like this, again, it can be taken any way, and it can be taken like a variety of ways. And because of that ambiguity, I think it would have been better if this decision just were not made without those clarifications.
All right, Ancom.
So I agree with Hammer in that I think this is a very troubling decision by the Supreme Court, and I'm honestly surprised that the more limited government conservatives, both on this panel and more generally, aren't more worried about the implications of this, because ultimately it does give increased power to the executive branch. It gives more power to government. The fact that small government conservatives are not screaming and ranting about how terrible this is kind of shocking to me. Beyond that, so I want to point out something Lactoid said, which was that the president has the nuclear football. He can, at a whim, fire nuclear missiles at any country. The thing about that, the reason that people aren't worried about that is because they understand that if he does so, there will be consequences. Mutually assured destruction is still a thing, so there is still a reason for him not to do it. If he can take an action that will have no substantive pushback, no substantive ability to hold him to account, then that becomes then that deterrent becomes moot. One of the things I dislike about this decision the most is the fact that in many of these cases where presumptive immunity is assumed, the president's motives can't even be used as evidence or questioned in the analysis of the actions. Like, the reason why he's doing it cannot be introduced in court. That has been specifically stated in this decision. The fact that we cannot introduce motives to a potential criminal prosecution because of this presumptive immunity is absurd to me.
All right, Tiberius.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to do two disclaimers. Number one, I am not a legal beagle. I'm a political science economics guy. I do geopolitics. So anything that I'm about to say, take with at least a pinch of salt, because this is not my prime wheelhouse. But I might throw some elbows, and hopefully Lactoid doesn't beat the fuck out of me. Here we go. First and foremost, when it comes to the ruling itself, the legal doctrine behind it is valid. I'm not going to say that it's not. I don't personally agree with it. I think it goes way too much in the lines of executive privilege and basically doing the whole we're going to give the executive almost unlimited authority when it comes to the roles that the executive has. I kind of agree with the conversation that Ancom was just putting up, where like the small government conservatives should be losing their fucking shit here, at least by my understanding of this, because if we believe in, republicanism and separation of powers, this is a huge green light to an already very strong and very effective executive branch. I am very concerned about government overreach in this particular regard, whether it be Democrat or Republican. I think it's very nebulous. I think there's a lot there's a lot of wiggle room to fuck up here, where I think this is going to go back to the Supreme Court again. Maybe there's a conversation to be had where it's going to go anyway, and so this is just kind of a holdover. But in general, I think the doctrine's sound, but I personally don't agree with it. I think it's deeply concerning, and I would rather go in the weeds on this one, because we're going to get into a lot more poli-sci than we are legalism if we go into that.
All right, Teriak.
Yeah, as an Irishman and a non-American, I don't have extended knowledge of this. I think Lactoid and the guy previous, Ty, made strong cases. There is, like I said, not 100% agreement for the whole decision, but in the circumstances that we find ourselves, where Democrats are essentially trying to use lawfare against Trump, desperate times do call for desperate measures. I would be surprised to see anyone agree here that Mar-a-Lago is only worth 20 million. That's one example. And another example is in terms of immunity. Like, no one seemed to have an issue when Barack Obama bombed a 16-year-old in a coffee shop in Yemen. So it goes both ways, folks.
All right, opening up the conversation. Who wants to start it off?
Yeah, I took
Go
some
ahead.
notes. I just wanted to quickly say two things. First of all,
Lactoid and Rich.
okay, first of all, there are still consequences, right? You can be impeached, even for an official act, right? You can be impeached. Impeachment is incredibly broad. And a lot of the reasons for why a president might want to avoid doing illegal things other than liability, that wasn't decided this year. If we want to talk about how concerned we are with the president being above the law, that was decided in Nixon versus Fitzgerald back in 1982. And in 1982, that was the ruling that decided that presidents were immune to civil liability. So you can't sue the president, right? Even if the president fucks you over. You don't get to sue the president, even if the president fucks you over. President blows up your house, you don't get to sue the president. President shoots your dog, you don't get to sue the president. The president cannot be sued. He is absolutely immune. And what was the logic by the Nixon court in 1982? Their logic was, we can't have the fucking president worrying about doing his actions because he might get sued if he does the actions. This Supreme Court just simply took that logic and applied it to criminal stuff too. That's really all this is. The court's saying, well, if we're concerned about the president getting bothered about all these civil lawsuits, maybe we got to be careful about the president getting bothered by criminal lawsuits too. Obviously, there's a whole bunch more, separation of powers analysis there. But in effect, that is what happened, right? In effect, we have this this immunity that already makes the president above the law in a whole bunch of regards. It just simply expands that. And there's still plenty of ways in which the president can be held accountable. They can be impeached. They can be held criminally liable for unofficial acts. But the fact that the president is roughly, honestly, like legally speaking, in what way would you hold the president legally responsible if he fired a nuke at Russia? I don't think that even prior to this decision, I don't think that the president would be legally responsible for firing a nuke at Russia. What would be the only consequence, I guess, would be mutually assured destruction. But let's say you're a president who's on death's door anyway. How concerned would that person be about that anyway?
Go ahead, Rich.
Just quickly on the Mar-a-Lago comment, the person who would say that Mar-a-Lago is only worth $20 million is Trump, but not when he was applying for insurance, but when he was applying for taxes. He only wanted to pay taxes on the lower amount. He wanted to value it much higher when he could benefit it in the other way. That's the problem with keeping two sets of books.
Just
But anyway,
do you think that Mar-a-Lago was worth 20 million?
No. I think Trump was
Okay.
lying when he said it was only worth that on his taxes. That was tax fraud. He should probably be prosecuted for that instead of insurance fraud. But it doesn't that's just it. Like if he was being sued for tax fraud, then he would be complaining that people are overestimating the value of Mar-a-Lago. So, but when he's being sued for insurance fraud, then it's the other way around. He kept two sets of books. One set of books was a lie, and the other one potentially was true. That I guess in theory they could have both been lies. But at some point he has to defend either one set of books or the other. That's the problem with that.
Trump never claimed that Mar-a-Lago was worth 20 million. It's the court. It's the court that claimed Mar-a-Lago was worth 20 million.
No.
Trump
On his
was saying
they
it was
took that
worth
from his
more.
taxes. They took that from his taxes.
Yes,
when
but
he was
they-
filing
they
taxes,
were claiming they were
he
claiming that he
underreported
something,
overestimated
guys.
the value.
Yeah, when he was doing his own taxes, he undervalued it. When he was doing insurance, he overvalued it. I think he says it's worth 1.8 billion, which means he way underpaid his taxes if that's the case.
Yeah, but he never
anyway,
claimed it was worth 20 million.
huh? Yeah, in his own taxes, yeah.
Trump
All right.
never claimed it was worth 20
Who
million.
gives a shit about any of this? I want to rebut. I want to rebut what Kai said.
Can I say one last
Yeah,
thing?
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
One
No.
last thing. Just to be clear, it has always been the hold on. It has always been the case, and especially at least recognized since the 90s, that a sitting president is civilly and criminally immune. So the SEAL Team 6 hypos were just as valid 10 years ago as they are now if the sitting president does it. Go ahead, Gibbs.
I want to rebut a couple of things. One, this is actually good for small government Republicans. One, because it increases checks and balances. The Supreme Court once again showed they're the strongest branch. By now, guess what? If this ever comes up legally, who gets to define what an official act is? Well, that's going to be the Supreme Court. That's another check on the president. President now has to wonder if the Supreme Court at some given time is going to deem his actions. If anything, that's one more check. And then it's kind of like LetheWaterKai said, it helps the frivolous lawsuits with the criminal court. So yeah, that rebuts that whole argument about.
But isn't it a bad thing if he has to wonder?
Yeah, this isn't
Like
being the
Blackwood was saying
arsenal.
that it's a bad thing.
It's good. Checks and balances are good. On limited government's all right. Like
This is-
we have checks and balances.
You need to
fantastic.
argue with Blackwood on that then.
This
I mean,
is
there's-
literally
hold on,
being
there's
Said that
different-
it's bad if the president
This
has
is
to wonder.
yeah.
No. Hold on. It's not have to wonder. It's that he's not going to have to worry about. Oh, I'm going to get tried for a frivolous criminal action. Like, right? If it's bad enough that he's going to get to the Supreme Court, then maybe they should wonder. But this gets rid of all the general bullshit in the middle, like that they're trying. It's like frivolous lawsuits with doctors, kind of
But
thing.
it will always
no
get to the
doctor
Supreme
wants to
Court now,
operate.
right? Won't it
No.
always get to the Supreme Court now?
Well, they don't. They only choose how many cases they want to see. If they think it's some bullshit, they're just not going to choose it.
Yeah, they remanded this to the lower court, and likely because we're sort of in this new we've never been
It'll
in this
go to the
scenario
DC
before.
Circuit Court of Appeals. Yeah.
Well, and then it's going to go to the Supreme Court, most likely.
Right.
But
right.
but
Exactly, that's
but
what I mean.
as case law develops, we're going to have a better idea about what official acts are, and eventually we're going to start getting cases that don't go to the Supreme Court.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
wait,
kind
I
of.
have a question. I have a point to make.
Go ahead.
Wait, so Lactoid. Yeah, Lactoid. Wait, do you agree? So I take strong umbrage with the idea that that you can just jump from civil cases to legal cases, like criminal cases, and just say that like that's a small leap. That's a massive leap, in my opinion. And do you think that like a president should have immunity when committing a crime, and their only consequence that they should be able to face is like impeachment? Or do you think there should be a crime that's like, all right, you're fucking going to jail?
So when you say it's a jump, I understand that they're two different things. I promise. I mean, I specialize in one, but I don't specialize in the other. I'm aware that they're two different things, but they are the same in this specific regard of the allegation of the president not being afraid of consequences, or the president being above the law in some respects. Right? In 1982, we decided the president was above the law in really one of the I would assert, I don't know this off the top of my head for sure, but I would assert like the biggest kind of most complicated portion of law that currently exists in terms of money and effort and time put into it, which is one of the arguments that the majority used in that case to say why it should be why the president should be immune. And so I don't think it's all that different when you're looking at, again, the actual consequences on the president for having to defend himself in a civil case compared to having to defend himself in a criminal case. The majority in this case says, well, actually, defending yourself in a criminal case might even be more stressful, right? You might be even more hesitant to do actions if you might be facing criminal penalties, and facing civil penalties, like the hesitation around that was the reason why they ruled back in Nixon versus Fitzgerald. When you're saying should the president be able to, or when you're asking should the president be able to be immune from criminal acts, I think that whenever any kind of government gets more power, I on a personal, political, and philosophical level, I can empathize with that very strongly. But I'm also into like judicial philosophy, and just because I want something to be the case doesn't necessarily mean that it is the case. The Constitution is very clear that income tax is allowed, despite the fact that I think income tax is evil personally. But if anybody ever made the argument, well, income tax is unconstitutional, no. There's a specific amendment that allows for income tax, therefore, that is the law. The Constitution also specifically has 3 branches of government. And if we allow one branch to undermine one of the other branches, that undermines the basis of the Constitution. And if we undermine the basis of the Constitution, we are no longer engaging in the practice of law anymore. We're no longer philosophically analyzing what is law if the Constitution doesn't matter. The Constitution is the bedrock of American law. That's been affirmed not only by this case, but every fucking Supreme Court case going back to Madison, right? This is like the foundational, Marbury versus Madison. This is the foundational aspect of American law. If the Constitution says the president's immune to criminal liability, which the court here decided it does, the president's immune, right? I mean, it is the case that he has to be. Otherwise, he's not a president anymore. He's a bitch of Congress. The president is not a bitch of Congress. Congress doesn't get to make laws the president has to follow if the Constitution says the president doesn't have to follow them.
The only issue I have with that is that, like, Congress makes laws that the president has to follow all the time, even when he doesn't like it, because they can override veto power. If there's a strong enough consensus in Congress, they can override anything that the president, or any law that the president decides to veto.
And that's in the Constitution.
Like, yes. And so what I'm saying is that, like, why are we not... If Congress has a backstop to allow them to impose laws on an otherwise uncooperative president, why shouldn't the people have a similar ability? Why does this have to go through Congress? Why can't people bring it through the courts in order to prosecute either civilly or criminally? Honestly, because I think the Nixon decision in 82 is flawed as well, because, like, otherwise we're saying that the Constitution is putting the president above the law, except in the case of impeachment, really, is the only one. Like, the unofficial acts thing is still dubious in my mind. But, like, impeachment seems to be the only way to hold the president accountable. And as everyone who talks about impeachment notes, that is a political process. It is inherently not impartial.
Sure.
All right.
Right.
Sorry.
It is to address what was just said. It is a political process. Arguably, that's perhaps where it should be when we're talking about a republic in which one branch is being held responsible by the other branch, a political branch, aka Congress. But
although the Senate declared otherwise in the last impeachment trial.
Well, Mitch McConnell did. We can get into that. I think I already addressed that. But we can get into that in a second. I've got objections, Aiko, but I'm going to address what was just said.
I know.
When we're saying that, it's interesting that you would say that you have problems with both. I think that's actually like a pretty consistent position by you. The dissent would, now just to be clear, the dissent even in their dissent, Sotomayor, Kagan, and Jackson, They all agreed with Nixon versus Fitzgerald. Everybody in the court currently agrees with Nixon versus Fitzgerald. Everybody agrees the president should be immune from civil litigation. Everybody thinks that. And so your position is fringe, I guess, among the Supreme Court, but I think it's more consistent, actually, than some of the positions being espoused by the dissenters, right? Because you're making the point, well, if we're going to say the president's above the law here and that's such a big deal, well, why should they be above the law anywhere? Just simply based on these like concerns about a vigorous president. I mean, that's definitely an interesting point. I think it's contradicted by what the framers intended with designing the presidency. But I will give you kudos for being, I think, more consistent than Sotomayor. The reason why I think that there is some necessity here to have the president be immune is really, there was a case immediately following the Civil War. The name escapes me right now. But following the Civil War, the president was going to pardon all the ex-Confederates in order to bring unity back to the nation. And Congress said, no, go fuck yourself. We don't want you to pardon these fucking traitors. They were owning slaves and shooting us. They can go fuck themselves. And the president said, no, I'm going to pardon them as long as they swear loyalty to America. And the Congress said, fuck no, you're not. We're going to pass a bill. We're going to pass a bill that says you can't do that. And they did. Congress passed a bill, because it was controlled by radical Republicans at the time, post-Civil War, saying the president doesn't get to pardon the Confederates. The Supreme Court looked at that and said, well, no. When the Constitution gives the president the ability to pardon, Congress then can't make a law that gets rid of the president's ability to pardon, because what they're essentially doing then is changing the Constitution without going through the constitutional change process. If you want to change the Constitution, there's a very specific mechanism to do that. A bill is not one of them. Statutes are subordinate to the Constitution. You don't get to pass a bill that is above the Constitution. And when you remove the president's pardon ability through a bill, you are essentially nullifying that part of the Constitution with a bill. You don't get to do that. What this court is saying is, in that exact same theory, the legislature doesn't get to pass a crime law and nullify one of the president's core abilities granted to him by the Constitution, because you're essentially undermining that part of the Constitution without passing a constitutional amendment. If you want to get rid of the president's ability to do anything, you can do it. You just got to pass a constitutional amendment to do so. Because currently the Constitution allows the president to interact with his subordinates. Sorry, that's one thing it allows you to do. The president also gets to fire any of his subordinates at a whim. That's one of the things he gets to do. You can't pass a law saying you don't get to fire a subordinate. No, that's not the way that works. The president has the right to fire a subordinate unless you change the Constitution to say that he can't do it. And what this court is saying is, the lower court was saying, well, it's a generally applicable law, but that doesn't even matter, right? You can't pass a law saying nobody gets to pardon, because obviously that affects the president and that affects the Constitution. The Constitution is the law. The court said multiple times in its majority, the president is not above the law. The office of the president is the law in some respect, right? It is a branch of government that is occupied by one person. And when that branch of government does something according to the Constitution, you don't get to use the other two branches to weaponize and go after him. You don't get to do that.
Yeah, I feel like that goes against the basic tenet of checks and balances of that. Each of the branches of government is held in check by the other two branches in various ways. So the idea of saying, like, when the executive branch does something, the other two branches can't go after them for it, I feel like that goes against that particular principle of government. And this may be one of the many ways in which the Constitution is self-contradictory. And it's just very frustrating that the lack of consistency here leads to such... I will generously say weird outcomes.
No. Before anyone else gets in, I'm going next. Because I want to reply to you anyway.
Self-contradictory. Oh yeah, it's fine.
No, I'll actually answer that because I'm kind of with him here. So the thing I was going against you, Gibbs, is that I feel like this is a level where this doesn't actually empower the separation of powers, particularly with this being the Supreme Court basically being the arsonist and then saying, hey, they're going to put out the fire. I think it leaves it incredibly nebulous. And I don't think treating the Supreme Court like the sword of Damocles against the executive is actually the right is the right scenario that you want to have here. I think you absolutely want this to be like, hey, these are the privileges that are enacted by the Constitution for the president to have. Now, I will put it in this regard. Going with where they're at, and at least what I've read, they're not out of bounds to do what they did. So I'm not going to tell you that you're just wrong and this is unconstitutional. I think it is constitutional. I'm scared shitless of it, and I want to ask Lactoid to this because this is what I don't understand, and forgive me for being a nuts, but if someone actually tries to put a case against a former president, because like the only way you can have an active case as a sitting president is being impeached, right? Like you can't actually be criminally charged until you're actually a former president.
If you are a sitting president, if you're a sitting president, you can only be criminally charged once you're like out of the presidency. If you're sitting,
right,
it is long established law. You can't be gone after whatsoever.
Okay, sir. Just want to make sure
DOJ.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure that I was good there because the second question is now that we can possibly go after potential former presidents, right? Which this is all around Trump, but I'm not going to try to go down that. Can they even open new cases? Because what's the threshold on like regular business of the president? Because I mean, it's the most powerful office on the planet outside of maybe chairman of the CCP, right? So what's not regular business?
So Space Anarchist, I think before said like ultimately this is gonna like the real question here is what is an official act? I couldn't agree with that more. That is the one question that is like the burning on everyone's minds. Because what the Supreme Court here said, I think, first of all, like I said before, I think Roberts did a poor job at defining it. I think he did a poor job at answering the hypotheticals. And he kicked a shit ton back down to the lower courts, right? He said, I don't even know if it's an official act. We don't have enough information. Go get more information. Decide, and then we'll double check your work. That is essentially what happened. Now,
Barrett did give a limit, right? Barrett said Georgia is not an official act.
Right, hold on. But you're right. Barrett did give a limit there. The majority even gave some guidance in the sense that they said that Trump's communication, Trump directing the Attorney General to investigate voter fraud, that was an official act, right? So there was some guidance given there as well. There was some guidance. I'm not saying Roberts just took a shit on a page and then gave it to us. Like he obviously, like there's some guidance. Not enough in my opinion, but there's some. What is an official act? So I'll briefly, if I can.
Sure.
I know. An official act is just something that is within the president's core constitutional powers. Things that other branches don't get to do. Pardoning is one of them, right? Pardoning is the purest example. The president has the constitutional ability to do that. Congress doesn't get to. The judiciary doesn't get to. That is their power. If other branches try to invade into that, they are invading into their power. Something that is presumed an official act is something where arguably what they did was sort of within their power, but it might overlap with power of other branches too. The example they gave for that was Mike Pence. Because Mike Pence, being the vice president, is part of the executive branch, right? He serves under Trump. But he's also part of the legislative branch because he serves as president of the Senate. So if Trump is directing Mike Pence to do something that violates the powers of the legislature, that would be infringing upon the separation of powers on them. And the Supreme Court says, we don't want a violation of separation of powers on anybody, whether it be the president, whether it be the legislature, or whether it be us. So we don't want the president fucking over the legislature, just like we don't want the legislature fucking over the president. So if the president's telling Pence to violate the legislature's constitutional rights, then that's not an official act. You don't get to do that. So the question is, was telling Pence to do what he did, is that an official act or not? We don't know yet. We need more information about what exactly he told Mike Pence to do and what exactly Mike Pence did and which branch that falls under, right? And then things that don't have to do within a branch, that's going to be an unofficial act.
We don't even know what branch he's in, right?
He's
the vice president is both executive and he's in the Senate.
He serves
he's
two
executive.
roles.
Yeah, he's executive. He's by government payroll. He's executive. He's got that one twist with being the vice president where he's president of the Senate, but this is why they have the correct me if I'm wrong, the president tempore of the Senate is that this person actually fills that role for the vice president, except for when the vice president has to break a tiebreaker.
Temporary can't break a tie.
Which is one of the reasons why I want the VP out of. One of the reasons why I want an American chancellor is I want the VP out of the fucking legislature. But that's a whole other conversation. Anyway, we've already had that one, Lactoid, but we can definitely have that conversation again. The follow-up question that I had for you is this Roberts just basically saying I don't want to fucking deal with this shit and kicking it to other people? Because this really is what it feels like.
So sort of. So there's been,
But it will always go back up.
It will always go back up. There's a lot of Supreme Court precedent on this. That whenever they want to get out of something, I think it's laziness. They're going to say it's blah blah blah. It's important for blah blah whatever. It's fucking they get paid a lot of money. They don't work a lot. I get it. When they don't have to answer a question, they say we're not going to. Because we only answer questions we have to. We are a court of last resort. We are the final answer. We're not the first answer. That's what Roberts is saying. And by the way, the dissenters have said this plenty of other cases as well. All the justices probably have said this at one point or another in order to get out of something, right? This is just like a common practice. So Roberts is sending a lot of... Is it reasonable? I mean, under one interpretation, it's reasonable in the sense of like, we want the Supreme Court only deciding like the final questions. Most of the legal work should be done by the lower courts in order to like preserve judicial resources. I get that. On the other hand, like when the answer seems so obvious that I think they should, or like when they have enough information to answer, but they just choose not to because, hey, we don't have to, it feels lazy. Like my biggest criticism of it is just that it would be lazy. Not that like there's any like major concern with it other than that. I think that they should have done more to answer it. But you're right. A lot of these questions are going to be answered by the lower courts, and the Supreme Court's going to have to review and say, you have all these facts that you brought to us now, and you said it was not an official act, which if it's the D.C. Circuit, they're probably going to say it's not, or they're going to say that it was presumptive and that was overcome or whatever. They're going to have to either say like, yeah, we agree with D.C., or they're going to say, no, actually, we looked at the facts and we disagree. This is an official act, and President Trump is immune. So we're just going to have to wait to see what they decide there. But the reality is, any decision along that lines, this is going to be after the election. And after this election, if Trump wins, which he is looking like he is going to, he's not eligible to be president again. And I think once he's not eligible to be president again, the prosecutions against him and the lawsuits against him are just going to dry up because people aren't going to be as interested in going after Trump anymore when they know he's no longer a threat.
I disagree. They're definitely going to go after him after he's done. Like, no, say he wins and he does a whole plethora of things. Let's just, in the world's far off galaxy, let's just say hypothetically, this man wins and saves America to his extent or whatever. Can you imagine the outrage and just the pure vitriol that's going to come from the left? Like, they're already like fuming, like, oh Lord, if Trump gets elected again, he's going to come after us the way we've come after him. No, when he gets out, if it's like not a landslide again of the Republicans, I'm telling you right now, there's going to be so many new cases. It's going to we're going to be able to stack papers.
They're not even going to wait.
Oh, yeah.
They're not even going to wait. They're going to literally just say, fuck executive privilege. We will literally throw everything at the wall during his presidency. I guarantee fucking it.
Yeah, I think
wait. During his presidency to hamstring him, probably. But after his presidency, I don't think so. And my
They're going to try to make an example of him, bro.
No. Here's my logic. George W. Bush was against gay marriage and brought us into two wars that were arguably one of the worst, arguably the worst geopolitical decision this country ever made. The Iraq War was a complete disaster by any metric. It was an absolute waste. It was I'm sorry. We gave that country we gave that country to Iran. It was an absolute waste of a war. We spent a tremendous amount of money. Afghanistan, complete waste, complete bullshit. And yet, when Trump started running,
it was a gift to Iran.
It was a gift to Iran. And when Trump started running, all the fucking libs were like, Bush wasn't that bad. Look at him compared to Trump. He has decency. I promise you, the next Republican president that comes, is running once Trump can't run anymore, give it a few years, and Democrats are going to be saying the exact same thing. Well, I mean, Trump really wasn't all that bad compared to this guy. Holy shit, look at the shit he's doing. He's literally Hitler. That's what's going to happen, right? You're going to see the exact same thing over again.
I imagine Marjorie Taylor Greene 2028. Dear Lord.
Yeah, she's going to be ranting about the
you have to go.
lasers. She's going to be ranting about the space lasers, right? And they're going to say, well, at least Trump supported the vaccine. Marjorie Taylor Greene over here is talking about lasers. She's crazy. That's going to be the narrative, I promise you.
Please, can we please not go that far down? Like, can we put up Dan Crenshaw?
Oh, we're going.
Well,
Like, can we have somebody with?
We're going. No, hold on. This is what the left want.
It depends how much we want to own you.
No, this
That's
is what the
depends.
left. This is what you and the left want. This is you, Tiberius, that has caused it. The Republicans put up a moderate, and you said, "Oh God, he's a terrible guy. Nobody likes
moderate.
Trump is the moderate, and he's a
Trump's
moderate.
not a moderate.
Trump is absolutely a moderate. He's Bill Clinton reincarnated policy-wise. He's a Republican from New York. That's a Democrat. I don't want to hear this bullshit out of y'all sitting here telling me that this guy's not a moderate. He's a moderate. Now, you want to see some not moderates? I'll take you down here to Texas, and I'll introduce you to them. Then let me tell you, they're going to be running soon if y'all get rid of Trump. And like y'all think this guy's something? Just wait. Just wait. What's waiting in the wings?
All right.
Gibbs,
It's going to be your fault.
He's insulting my honor. I've got to ask you this. All right. So what is
taxes?
Just so I know that we're actually even using the word in the same like vague dictionary. What is a moderate to you? Just so I can actually make sure.
Trump is a moderate. Look at this guy. This guy was like strict on guns. That's not very conservative, now is it? You imagine me voting for a guy that wants to take away my guns? That's not real. That's not real conservative, now is it? That's okay. That's but so he's kind of middle of the road there. He's middle of the road.
Not a gun.
Listen,
No.
why are you trying to take my bump stocks? Anyway, secondly, and also government, if anybody asks, any guns I have with bump stocks fell in the lake last week. Next, moving on.
They're legal again. They got overturned.
It doesn't matter, the government, they're all in the lake. I don't have any guns anymore.
Okay, all right.
So, listen, and going on from there, yeah, okay, he's pretty in the middle of the road in gay marriage. Remember back in like whatever year on The Apprentice, they had that thing with the gay guy, and he's like, oh, you're gay? That's cool, and turned right back. He's never gave a shit about like that. He's pretty pro-black people. I mean, that, he's got all these awards for all these organizations, allegedly. So sounds like he's pretty middle of the road there. I don't know where y'all think he's this super diehard. Oh, wow, he wants to stop the inflow of 11 million people across the border. He must be Hitler. Like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Like, what is this guy doing? He's like, oh, I don't want to be involved in war. Oh, when he asked about Russia and Ukraine, he didn't say he was going to pick a side. He goes, I want people to stop dying. The guy seems like he's got a heart. And y'all are like, this guy's the devil. Like, I'm like, it's fucking crazy. Because guess what? Y'all going to get what y'all want if y'all come after this guy too hard. And that's what's crazy to me. Like,
yeah, let me split hairs here, because there's a level where I kind of agree with you and there's a level where I don't. So when it comes to like the traditional left-right dichotomy, he is far more moderate because he has takes that are both left-wing and right-wing. He's got that same problem that I do that you don't like me for, is that I actually agree with the left on some stuff. I actually agree with that. I think that's actually somewhat true. He's a very old kind of right. I definitely think he goes with the America First Committee kind of right, maybe a little bit with the Chris Nats, but I think he plays more to I think he plays politics more than he actually believes in what they say. I think he's still pro-choice, actually. I just don't think he's actually had to make any kind of move on it that he has to care about. Anyway, where I'm going here is that I do think Trump is very different than our normal righties, right? I think he's pretty significantly different than you, and I think you even have a number of disagreements with him on some major key issues.
Yeah, I got a lot of them.
Right. So, like, the problem is twofold. I'll take the optics out for a second. Institutionally, he is basically a rudder without the ship. It's kind of where we're going here. And I think that scares the hell out of people. And, like, I don't know why you're rolling your eyes at me. It's kind of true, right? Like, this is why he's elected. He's supposed to be the bull in the china shop that answers to no one. Is he not? Like, this is why literally all my family keeps telling me.
He tells it as it is, Tiberius.
He tells it
as it is, and he basically brings the bull into the china shop and breaks all the lib shit because they want all their nice things, and he just
clean up
breaks
the swamp, bro.
Yeah. So, like, okay, on that level, I get the vitriol, and here comes where the optics is concerned, right? Where these people get upset is that whether he is right, left, or moderate, he doesn't really answer to anybody. And that's what scares the hell out of fucking 90%, or okay, not 90% of the country, that's a lie. Anyone who actually looks at this largely through a moderate political lens, because that's where I'm going to take this, is scared shitless of this dude. Because there's no one in the room who can tell him no.
Oh, let me ask you a question. You've
Yeah,
said
what's up?
before that you like Teddy Roosevelt.
Sure.
Who the fuck was telling Teddy Roosevelt what to do? The motherfucker got shot, went back, beat the guy's ass, and went and gave a speech. I don't want to hear that you're telling me that you're suddenly got a problem with people that are like, oh, we got nobody gonna let me know. You ain't telling somebody that gets shot, beats their ass, and then gives a speech that, oh, what to do. I'm sorry. I don't believe. The guy got so mad at his own party, he created the Bull Moose Party. If that's someone you like, then you can't sit here and turn around and bitch about Trump. I'm sorry.
Who did he answer to, right?
Exactly. Who did he answer to?
Wait,
Quite a lot of people.
Nobody.
Like,
Nobody.
No, he did.
I mean,
like, two things. Let
That's
me
a
finish
lie.
this real quick, and then I'll let you go, Hammer. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Yeah. When it comes to him, his bread and butter was working for like the average commoner at the time, and that's who he answered to. That was his political power base. Trump's trying to do the same thing, but let's be real here. He's not Teddy Roosevelt, and he's actively trying to distance himself from that kind of vision. Here's the real kicker, and this is where I think I'll even get Lactoid to agree with me. Roosevelt did some shit that was really questionable when it came to the Constitution, particularly whenever he said he was going to nationalize the mines and said, hey, look, if you all don't fix this fucking strike, I'm just going to send in the army. Like, there was numerous times where Roosevelt did the Lincoln approach. If I can't solve it the normal way, I'll fucking do it the wrong way, and then I'll let the courts tell me if I'm wrong 2 years later. Tell me I'm wrong, Lactoid.
Well, so I don't think you're wrong, because a very similar situation actually occurred later in a case that was cited by the Supreme Court in this Trump versus United States, and that case was Youngstown Sheet and Tube, which was from 1952, in which the president seized all the steel mills. Right, like seizing a bunch of property, pretty fucking scary. Supreme Court said the president doesn't have the authority to do that. And I think in some ways this kind of demonstrates that the Supreme Court really is the most powerful branch of government, right? More so than the executive, I think. But yeah, no, I agree with you. Like, these presidents have been trying all sorts of shit. FDR pulled all sorts of shit. FDR was pulling so much shit that he had to threaten to pack the courts because the courts kept like striking down his crazy shit, right?
I just wanted to say that's really.
What's up, Hammer?
Hammer's up.
I just wanted to say that's really ironic that I know it's not Lactoid who gave this argument, it was Gibbs, and obviously,
This is the correct argument.
But Gibbs saying that the reason that Trump is cool or why he likes Trump is that he answers to no one and he doesn't give a fuck about what anyone says. Kind of goes against the idea that of the Supreme Court case that just passed in his favor, which is that according to Lactoid, which is that each branch should have their own power. They have their own constitutional power and their roles, and they shouldn't be infringed upon. And someone like Trump, who is set on not doing what anyone says and doing as he likes, even if it's not allowed at the moment, he's always going to drive towards infringing on those powers and pushing whatever he wants, regardless of whether or not he's allowed to. Sometimes
But Trump does answer to someone.
Yeah,
First
of all, everything
That's
you
what
said
I
there,
thought. No.
Hammer, is incorrect, because I didn't say that. I was responding to Tiberius's thing about Trump being a loose cannon. I don't like Trump I like Trump because my fucking wallet. Have you gone to the grocery store recently? Have you seen gas? Terrible. It's Biden's fault. Bidenomics. I don't need to hear any more out of anybody that disagrees. Secondly, the other bullshit. Yeah, don't worry. I got a laundry list of this bullshit now. Secondly, I just fucking got an article posted in my chat, and I posted it. I literally just got done talking about how moderate this motherfucker was, and he's over here in the National Republican Convention 2 days ago, came out softening their stance on gay rights and softening their stance on abortion as priorities are two of the things listed by NBC. So if the lefties are giving credit for this, then I know that this is fucking happening, because the lefties don't want to give Trump credit for pissing on a fucking ant. It's crazy. So I know that he's a moderate. And this is why I'm sitting here But people are going, "Oh, he's not moderate, Gibbs. He's crazy, bro." Like I'm just like, you're fucking wrong. I wish he was more conservative, and that's why I voted against him in the primary. So when people sit here trying to tell me I'm a Trumper, go fuck yourself. But I am gonna go look at my fucking money and go, "Hey, if I have to pick between Donald Trump, he sucks, but he's a moderate, or fucking Biden, who's dementia-addled and hates anybody with money, I'm gonna pick the other guy." It's pretty fucking simple. Like the guy doesn't want. You have two pennies to run around, and then you're gonna try to sit here and make my point that I'm a big fan of loose cannon Trump. I was just making call him Tiberius a hypocrite because I know he likes Teddy Roosevelt, and Teddy Roosevelt got called up by God, said "fuck you, God," beat the guy's ass, and then went back and finished the speech. I don't want to hear that he answered to nobody. That's bullshit.
I
All
love you,
right, so
Gibbs. But that's some bullshit.
we are over time. So if
Can
anybody
I-
wants to get, I was going to say, everybody gets a last word in if they would like, and then we're going to go to open, and then I'll let anybody that wants to dip get outros as we go to open. So
Okay.
go ahead, Black Toy.
Yeah, I guess if we want to wrap up this topic, I think that what you actually said, Hammer, is like a perfect transition to something I wanted to say, which is you talked about how Trump doesn't answer. He doesn't want to answer to anybody, and that could be true. That could be true. That he doesn't want to. But I think with this decision and what the Supreme Court has generally said is that he does answer actually to something, which is the Constitution. Right? He answers to the Constitution, and in the same way, the legislative branch doesn't get to go infringe upon his powers. He doesn't get to go and infringe upon other governmental branches, or, and this is my interpretation of this is why I don't think the SEAL Team 6 hypothetical is realistic. I don't think that he gets to go and infringe upon other people's constitutional rights. I don't think he gets to go violate the Constitution, because in what world is a violation of the Constitution a official act if we're using the Constitution to define what the president's official acts should be in the first place, right? We're saying that an official act under the president is his core power under the Constitution. Well, obviously then, the act can't violate the Constitution, because how can an act that violates the Constitution be an official act? What that would mean is that he is under the Constitution, because that means he doesn't get to bomb Congress, right? Because that would violate the rights of the legislature under the Constitution. He doesn't get to assassinate political rivals, because that would violate the Constitution. He arguably doesn't get to, and this is my position, I don't think he gets to assassinate people in America without due process, because that violates the Fifth Amendment, right? And the Fifth Amendment is part of the Constitution. There are parts of the Constitution that protect individual rights that I don't think the president gets to just order people to do and remain within the protection of an official act. And that, I think, is the reason why I think people are being a little bit histrionic about this case, where they're assuming, and a lot of it is Robert's fault, I will agree, because he didn't answer this. But I think a lot of the doomsday scenarios that people are imagining are not constitutional and thus not official acts, and so he could be held responsible for them after he's out of the presidency. But more importantly, right? You're saying he doesn't answer to anybody. I mean, on the really broader scale, let me ask you directly: a president who has a nuclear football that can nuke a country and not be responsible, even under law, prior to this case, how below the law was the president really speaking, right? If you got someone who can nuke a country, end a million lives at a whim, this guy obviously has a lot of power.
I guess if you're asking me directly, I guess I can segue this into my closing, because I'm going to be completely honest. I probably won't stay for the open because it is burning hot in my room and I need to turn on my fan. I guess to answer directly, I think the most important way that I think the president is and should be under the law is with basically what acts he can perform on other parts of America and American citizens, right? So you said, well, he can press a button and send a nuke to another country, which is scary, but I don't think he has a constitutional right to nuke America. If he wanted to, say, nuke New York because he didn't want them voting in the next election or something like that, I don't think he has a constitutional right to do that.
I agree with you.
Other acts that he can do that against the American people or the American system, I think those are the most important ways in which he is under the American law. And I guess to your point, like, yes, I even kind of said this when I made my argument that, like, yes, there's a lot of things that he has tried to do and will try to do that he has been barred from before, right? So yeah, he can't just do whatever he wants, obviously, but he's always going to be pushing that envelope. And there is this fear that I said this because like Trump was making it seem like and like a lot of right wingers make it seem like it's like left wing insanity to be apprehensive and
It is.
against Trump, right? But I think it's completely rational. And the biggest reason is because someone who's constantly trying to deconstruct the American system so that he can get ahead and basically have as much power as he wants. Who's always going to try to break the law and who's always going to try to like create influence. So that he can do that. Where I mean, I think a perfect example, and I know this isn't going to get like people aren't going to like this, but when he got impeached, but because because of the Republican majority, I think in the House, he remained in office, and so the system of impeachment didn't work in that case because he had because of his popularity and things like that. I mean, again, I don't. There's another one that I don't think is going to go over well with people on the right, but like because 9 of the 12 justices are like were put in place by a right-wing government and are generally, in my opinion, more favorable to right-leaning presidents. I think that that kind of peddling of influence is going to get more and more scary as time goes by.
Statement.
Yeah, I'll say something. That sounds like a skill issue. Everything he just said, a lot of crime, a lot of lack of skill issues. Listen, you can have his opinion, or you can have the opinion that is correct, and it's the opposite of that one. That's really all I'm gonna say about that. It's real simple. Like we're just over here, like crying because people use government properly to get people in office properly. Like I can't even. I just like didn't it say, bro? I just so many. I'm not even gonna dive into all the specific things wrong with what he just said, but let me just tell you, it's all of it.
I
So
didn't expect you to.
I thank God because we'd be here all night. I just want to say, folks, listen, the Supreme Court. This is the correct decision. I'm kicking it down, letting them decide some more. Fight over some specifics before the big dogs come in. I think that's okay. We're all gonna be okay, people. Trump's not gonna. Meanie Trump isn't gonna get into office and start assassinating AOC anytime soon. I think she's gonna be okay. She's not gonna have to be worried about getting grabbed by the pussy or anything. It's gonna be fine. I know that y'all over here suffering from what he likes to call liberal insanity and what a lot of us are calling Trump derangement syndrome. I already showed you that Trump's a moderate, and they're still sitting here going, "Oh, Lord, he's coming for the LGBTQ," when he's over here trying to soften the Republican the process. It's just terrible, folks. Just don't listen to any of these bleeding heart lefties that are just wrong and don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Listen to us intelligent people who are winning.
Yeah, no one thinks you're more intelligent here, bud. Sorry.
Yeah, well, I don't care. No one here thinks that. Well, I know I'm more intelligent than you.
Keeps you been based the whole fucking
Thank
panel.
you. I appreciate
Shut the fuck
it. See,
up,
there's
Paddy
one.
Wagon.
See, there's one.
Oh,
That's one more than you got, Papa.
One question, actually, are you and what's it called, the blue shirt over here? He's related because you seem like you're the bass brother and he's the soy boy brother. You know what I'm saying?
See, listen. If that was the case,
Like
I am adopted. I'm probably the genetic superior one. Well, he's the one that would have been aborted because of the Down syndrome
There
from the
could be
first
some genetics
topic.
in there. Because like look at Gibbs' beard and then compare it to Blue Shirt's beard. You know what I'm saying? That is a weak ass beard. And then look back at Gibbs. Look at that mane that Gibbs has.
I'm saying
Tell me, man.
glorious. Thank you.
Sorry,
This
but
guy-
Absolutely
Rich's
beautiful.
beard beats us
I
all.
feel
Let's be real here.
disrespected by this whole conversation.
Rich's
suddenly.
beard beats us all easily.
That's true. Rich does have a large beard.
It's the Texas.
All right.
Even has a
Meanwhile,
tongue and everything.
this this Irish.
Don't try. You can fail it already. Too many words. Too many syllables.
Are we all getting an outro, by the way, Lethe?
Yes. I
No, we're
would
just
like
shit
to
talking
vote.
for the rest. No.
All right, gonna
I
run
gave
it to
my
open.
outro.
So outro for Hammer. Thank you for coming through, my dude. Hope you
Okay,
can stay
yeah.
cool because it's been a hot day today. So
Yeah,
I
it's
completely
it's pretty
understand.
rough in here. Yeah. All right. Thank you for having me on the panel, and thank you for everyone here for talking to me, except for you, Gibbs. Have a good night, everybody.
Listen, hey, I can afford AC. He can't. Let me tell you which one of us
Son
knows
of-
more than that shit.
That was his opening statement. That was his closing. Holy shit, that's pretty based.
Yeah, why
actually.
not?
That was kind of
Why
based.
not?
I'm not gonna like. That was pretty fucking good.
You know, everybody gets one.
All right. To anybody else that has a dip, go ahead and get an outro.
Right. Well,
Go ahead.
Lactoid, Tiberius, Rich, Lethe, thank you very much. Had a wonderful discussion tonight, and want y'all to have a good night. Bye bye.
Peace out, Ancom.
All right, I'll go. I'll go as well. You can find me at Lactoid TV on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube if you like what I had to say. It's Lactoid TV, Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. I just wanted to close everything just by saying that regardless of your opinions about this particular decision, which I agree could use some work in some respects, this Supreme Court is one of the best we've ever had. And I think we're privileged to have the Supreme Court. It's not a partisan court. I think that they're trying to really get at what the law is, which I think is respectable and admirable. And I empathize with what Gibbs is saying about Bidenomics. It seems pretty fucking terrible. So take that into consideration as you will. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Glad to have you.
Ooh, that makes me have a few things to say.
Uh-huh. No, don't just wait till he leaves. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, I will happily tag it as the thing of the open panel. Like I've been preaching it for a long time. Like 90% of the problems economically is not Biden's fault. Like
It's 100% Biden's fault.
oh fuck no, it ain't. Like I called it before the election. Like we were already seeing inflation within
Oh, here we go.
within the consumer electronics industry before the election was over. And I said this shit's gonna spread throughout the entire sector. And I said how it was going to do it because it was going to be the end of just-in-time manufacturing. I was fucking right. Dead to fucking rights. I was correct. The thing that has surprised me is that instead of trying to build Made in America, where we actually reshored our industry, we just set the old system back up. So we got to go through this shit all over again. So whoever wins this time around, whether it be Biden, whether it be Trump, they get to see the second crash of this shit. So I'm kind of hoping that Trump does win, just so I can see all of this great economic, prosperity doctrine go completely to shit when this goes to hell again.
Listen, I could just go look at. Like, I have the stats right here. Let me read them to you.
All right, guys. I bounced on over to my own server, but I'm going to go ahead and write on out and delete you right away so you guys can hear the rest of this discussion. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you guys gave me a follow or chatted or any of that good stuff, thank you so much. I'll see you next time. Thanks. I gotta go, Jebtan. You gotta take up the fucking the torch. Be the voice of reason. You can do it. You can do it.
Idiot! Like I don't know.
Which
how to
ones did he
explain-
close?